potatoes and chicken. Tariffs!
Eurasia. Action replays in magnified portion.
Not good. The fleet. They don't like the gas. Tariffs!
Salt water in their veins.
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will
To be Corona means Italy. For Ireland values. We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges. Michigan gave us Motan.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They're not allowed to do that, unfortunately. Protesters. Isn't it wonderful to allow protesting?
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused. We got it aroused.
I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town.
You using the whole fist on?
Groovy. I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said, I drank what?
Diet Coke!
That's great psychology. Say something bad about my mother.
He's a genius, see?
I love lamb.
Hey, you want to make $14 the hard way? No.
This takes for nothing!
This man's obviously a lunatic. I'm calling security.
What's happening? Welcome to the show, everybody. Hi there. It's me. How you doing? Good to see you again. Welcome to chat room. Sorry, I'm so excited. I jumped right in and I didn't turn off my other stuff. The music is rolling. Mic's on. All's well. It sounds okay. I'm back in the regular studio. So, I have reliable unreliability. Yeah, let's just call it that. Sure. It's been a very big news day, but hello. Welcome. I think the biggest news, obviously, of course, of the day is Hillary Clinton's deposition in front of the entirety of the House Oversight Committee, which is notable since only half of... Oops, sorry, I got to bring up the Insta. Which is notable because if you'll recall, when they went to talk to Les Wexner, hi, Instagram. Sorry, it took me a moment to come on. It's good to see you. That's the chat room. If you haven't met them before, they're lovely people. Hit the like, share the show. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, please give me an angry emoji or some sort of negative, angry comment or something. It's the only thing that moves the needle over there. If you're on YouTube, hit the like, share the show. It's the greatest way to annoy the maggot in your life. And then, of course, if you're on Twitch, emoji the hell out of it. I mean, come on. We got to get hype trains happening again. Lots going on. Obviously the Hillary Clinton deposition today. Republicans and Democrats were at that. Only notable because only Republicans, or only Democrats showed up for Les Wexner's deposition in Ohio, a state Trump won more times than he ran, and is one of his favorite places in the world because it's easy to fix shit there. Ask Jim Jordan. And they didn't bother to show up for that one. This one, they showed up because they had to ask Hillary Clinton about UFOs and Pizzagate, because this is serious. We got a lot of serious shit to talk about, but Hillary Clinton did make a statement right after she did her deposition. It was interrupted because Lauren Boebert, against the rules of the committee, took a picture, shared it with Benny Johnson. They posted it online. Now, I think it's kind of a big self-own that they posted this picture of her, because you're not good. The obvious retort is, it posted a picture of Trump then when he testifies. Never. Right. So, which I'm sure will come up again and again as we discuss this. But let's jump straight in, hit the like, share the show. It's Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. This is Hillary Clinton speaking right after her deposition finished.
Well, I have just finished testifying. I answered every one of their questions.
Yes. Again, 2 sentences you won't hear from Donald Trump.
As fully as I could, based on what I knew. And what I knew is what I said in my statement this morning. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew,
unlike the President of the United States, the current sitting one, obviously.
Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance. But whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond. It was disappointing that they refused to hold a public hearing, so I wouldn't have to be out here characterizing it for you. You could have seen it for yourself.
Yeah, but then everybody would see them being assholes, and they would, I mean, during the entire thing, people would be going, well, she's got the guts to sit there and talk, and Bill's going to come and talk tomorrow, and he's got the guts to come and sit there and talk, and they were both willing to do it in public, and Donald Trump won't go near it. We'll get to that.
We had asked
an angel just got his wings.
For that. We think it would have been better for the committee and its efforts to gather whatever information they are seeking. We had a bit of a challenge in the beginning because we had agreed upon rules based on the fact it was going to be a closed hearing at their demand. And one of the members violated that rule, which was very upsetting because it suggested that they might violate other of our agreements.
Where would you get that idea? For Republicans, look, this was a one-time slip, never going to happen again. And certainly no member of their party will, I don't know, put naked pictures of, say, the president's son up during the committee hearing or anything like that. I mean, it's just, these things just don't happen.
So we had to cease the hearing for a period of time until we could get assurances that no rules would be broken going forward, and we returned to answer questions repetitively, literally over and over again. I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never...
As many times, I think they want you to say you didn't know him the same amount of times that there are literal mentions of Donald Trump in the Epstein Files, which is tens of thousands, if not millions. So,
went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices. So it's on the record numerous.
Unlike Howard Lutnick, I would say, for the record. I'm just,
times. It then got, at the end, quite unusual because I started...
Did Lauren get to ask a question?
Being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about Pizzagate, one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was propagated on the internet. that was serving as the basis of a member.
Well, I would like to say for the record that there are signs that when it points to Democrats, it was bogus. But as it turns out, there very well may have been a bunch of Republicans who were involved in it, hence the millions of still hidden documents and God knows what's in those storage facilities, which we'll also cover in a little bit. 6, at least, storage facilities that were rented by Epstein, where stuff was moved from both his island, his West Palm Beach mansion, Zorro, and New York before the raid. It's almost as if somebody let him know. Who would have dry snitched on him? And I think he's in a position of prominence right now, but we'll check. I don't know.
Questions to me. So I can only say that the best exchange that I had came at the very end, when, contrary to every other deposition they have taken, no Republican member asked any questions about Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell to anyone else they have deposed.
Whoa. Well, in all fairness, we don't even know about the other depositions, and they weren't even there for the Les Wexner one, largely because they couldn't. I mean, you'd be in a position where if you mentioned something and you asked about a certain event, there's a very strong chance Les Wexner would go, oh yeah, Trump was there.
In fact, the Republican members didn't even show up for the deposition of Les Wexner.
Point taken.
And when I said that, I had to point out that the only questions that any Republican member asked of any of the people they deposed was of former Attorney General Bill Barr, when Chairman Comer asked him about the allegations, in his view, about Russia's involvement in my election in 2016. So at the very end of this hearing, after I made that point, I want to commend Chairman Comer for raising a series of significant questions that I responded to about the nature of the investigation and the areas that I thought should be explored. So I appreciated that.
Well, because he's got it. The whole thing's like, we're just trying to get to the answers here. We're not accusing anybody. Is there anybody you knew or anything you do know about that we should look into? Because that's the excuse for calling them in the first place. We just want to talk to anybody who might know something, right? So you've got to ask them this question about, do you know anything else? Well, I know Trump flew on his plane a bunch of times, and Epstein flew on Trump's plane an untold number of times. I would argue more than Trump flew on Epstein's plane. Feel free to at me.
Want to see the truth come out. So that was a reassuring way to end a very long, repetitive deposition.
Secretary, you spoke in your opening remarks about how heartbroken you have been for the Epstein survivors as these files have come out. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you have processed and reacted to the fact that the former president, your husband, Bill Clinton, is referencing the Epstein Files numerous times, including in some photos featuring women? And how have you been personally preparing for the deposition that is coming tomorrow? Are you 100% confident that there isn't anything that the former president knows about Epstein's crimes?
I am, and I think the chronology of the connection that he had with Epstein ended several years before anything about Epstein's criminal activities came to light, and that he was charged and sadly given a sweetheart deal, which, as I said in my statement, had that not happened, perhaps his predatory behavior could have been stopped earlier. But
which is always the case with these fuckers.
I think it is fair to say that the vast majority of people who had contact with him before his criminal pleas in 2008 were like most people. They did not know what he was doing.
obviously Trump is not most people, I would like to say for the record.
And I think that that is exactly what my husband will testify to tomorrow.
Madam Secretary, do you believe that this was a fair? Do you believe this was a fair hearing, and do you still want to testify publicly, even though you gave this deposition?
Well, I'm not going to do it again. You know, they had a chance to do it in public, and I wish they had done it in public. And I think they're making the wrong decision, avoiding doing it in public. I thought it was very repetitive. I thought that they asked literally the same questions over and over again, which...
Yeah, but that's so they could catch you. So, you know, did you ever know, he didn't say ever, did you ever know Jeffrey Epstein? No, I never knew him. But you never knew him, but did you ever never know him? Write this down.
It didn't seem to me to be very productive. And then as I...
Yes, that was the point. Well, again, productive is a relative term. Productive in terms of the investigation? Absolutely not. Productive in terms of giving them a PR window to attack other people and draw attention away from Trump? It's an argument about whether that's successful or not. I would argue it isn't. I would argue that the vast majority of people, especially like maggots who have been on the like just on edge in general since July about this shit, aren't buying this and are like, I don't give a fuck about these people. She's no longer in office. Trump is actually in there, right? They're reacting to this the same way. And I would argue there are a bunch of like distractions literally being created by this White House through Tucker Carlson and others directly to cause fires that can draw attention away from this particular question. It's like, why are they interviewing them and not interviewing Trump? It isn't why are they interviewing them? Clinton's name shows up in it. Why they're interviewing her is a weird thing, unless, you know, like, did you drive him to the airport? I don't know what the fuck that is. But, right, that would be the question. I think, did you ever drive him over the house and drop him off and say you pick him up at 7? Like, it's silly. But the point is that, and the two of them actually testifying, especially Bill tomorrow as a former president doing it, this sets a precedent that when Trump is a former president, if he makes it that far, because obviously his brain is tapioca and his heart is a lump of coal, and his ankles look like canned hams, you know, there's a chance this will never come up. But if it does, there's precedent now.
Said toward the end, you know, there were other questions that were totally off subject. So if they are going to fulfill their responsibility.
So it was a failure on their part to actually get anything they wanted. So they just thought, well, we've got it for another half hour. Anything else you want to ask? Yeah, why are you hiding alien bodies at Wright-Patterson?
Abilities to...
Did you ever eat an alien baby? Nobody asked you that one, did they? She asked you about eating babies. But did you ever eat an alien baby? And if so, do they taste like chicken? I heard from one of Joe Rogan's guests, they taste like chicken.
Literally.
Sorry, they don't taste just like chicken. They taste like, where is it? They taste like...
Potatoes and chicken.
Yeah, it's different. It's not quite...
Investigate the investigations, which is what they originally said was the scope of their work. I think they could have spent the day more productively.
Yeah, interviewing Trump or Lutnick, for example, or Trump's head of the Navy, or our fucking ambassador to fucking, what is it, Turkey?
Madam Secretary,
Madam Secretary. Can I ask, why was Colleen Maxwell invited to McLaughlin Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2010? She'd already been mentioned in a civil lawsuit by Virginia G3 before that. Jeffrey Epstein had already been convicted before.
She came as the plus one, the guest of someone who was invited.
Madam Secretary, can you tell us your reaction, please, to the photos of your husband in the hot tub in the swimming pool?
What message does it say that President Trump has
I don't know when the video will be out. I don't know when the transcript will be out. We've asked that they be out as quickly as possible, and then you can see.
Madam Secretary, what was your reaction to the photos in the hot tub? We heard.
It wasn't a hot tub. It was a baths pool, which is very different. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the Clintons probably know a thing or two about a hot tub. They met in the 70s. But okay, so that's the end of that. Obviously, the thing that stands out most about this is clearly that she's answering questions and saying things that Donald Trump does not have the guts to do. And the reaction from Republicans, I have the Democrats, and then I'll show you what some of the Republican response to it as well. Actually, I should probably do that. Let me do that in order. Like, you know what I mean? Because let's see. The silliness of all of this. Okay, here it is. Let's see. Comer, Clinton testimony after. There we go. Yeah. So this one. Yeah. So here they come. This is. By the way, I would like to set this up by reminding everybody that Comer spent, for everybody like, nobody gave a shit about Epstein. You're like, well, even if they did, they wouldn't have been able to, for there was a case to be brought and all the evidence was sealed until January of 2024. And that was in an election year and a bunch of other shit going down. But you guys still had control of the House. You could have brought all kinds of questions, even in that year, about it and attacked Democrats if you wanted to. But of course, Ghislaine Maxwell then filed her paperwork, and therefore it was another reason for a judge to hide a good portion of that stuff and keep the DOJ from going. And there was no law, and there was certainly no situation where Trump was going to release any of this shit. But Comer spent his entire time in office during Biden going after Hunter Biden, and ended up getting jack shit. It was just displaying the life of an addict in front of the entire fucking country. Like, literally, the tax issue was already working its way through. Even the laptop they talk about, when they act like, we've got the laptop that they're talking about is not the laptop from John Paul McIsaac's shop or any of that shit, which there were allegedly 3 waterlogged ones and only one that could be salvaged, right? That whole bullshit story. There is no Hunter Biden laptop from that whole thing. Feel free to at me again. That you can't name a hard drive laptop and call it a laptop. It doesn't work that way. You can't take a dead fish and call it a fish sandwich. You know what I mean? So just pull one out of the river. I got myself a fish sandwich. There's some other ingredients that are kind of necessary to the description, right? So Comer spent his entire time going after Hunter Biden and didn't get shit. Didn't get anything actionable. Years, the entirety of the Biden presidency. Yeah, somebody in the chat room has who has the Hunter Biden laptop. Yeah, it's floating around out there. We've been juggling it for a while.
All right, I want to thank everyone for standing out and braving the cold.
Simmer.
Our deposition is concluded. It's a shame that it took 7 months to get Miss Clinton in. She answered most.
How long is it going to take to get Trump in? I mean, after the coffin, I think, really? Is that when you've got him scheduled? You're scheduling Trump to be deposed right after he's cremated? Or I don't know, he'll probably insist on taxidermy and lying in state forever like Stalin.
Of our questions. I'm going to let some of my
or is it Lenin? I don't give a shit, but
colleagues lament on that, but we're going to not release the too many details of what happened today.
Well, obviously, yeah, clearly in the name of transparency, yeah.
We're going to try to get the video out.
Try
as quickly as possible, hopefully within the next 24 hours. That's a very long deposition, so as quick as we can get that video produced, we will get that out.
Produced? What, are you going to edit it a little bit? You need to color correct it? Are you going to add a CGI puppy?
The transcript will be released as soon as her attorneys approve it. That's the standard rules of a deposition. And I think...
Yeah, her attorneys have already said get it out as quick as possible. They've already done it. They did it in the actual hearing. She and her attorneys both said, get it out as fast as you can. Completely. Unedited, I think, is the key part of it. The only reason they would want to sign off on it is after the fucking camp shenanigans over here. They want to probably check it to make sure that it's complete.
That I think this was a productive deposition today. I think.
Yes, it's like Edison felt about when I didn't fail at making a light bulb. I just discovered 999 ways not to make a light bulb. This is another one of those moments.
We learned a lot. There were a lot of questions that we asked that we weren't satisfied with the answers that we got.
Because you were hoping she would incriminate herself.
We will continue to move forward. Any of my colleagues, every member of the committee asked questions. And
I would just say one of the things I learned today is if you really have specific questions about the Clinton Global Initiative or the relationship between the Clintons and Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, you got to ask Bill Clinton.
Well, he's talking tomorrow. Yeah, and that would be part like this whole thing of like just blaming her for being his wife, which you guys have been doing since the fucking 90s. I mean, the way these assholes act, it's like she had the affair with Lewinsky.
That's a great point.
Which, by the way, I'm sure somebody thinks. I'm sure they think it was I'm sure there's at least one member of this particular committee on the Republican side who thinks that was the conspiracy. Hold on.
I don't know. You'll have to ask my husband. Was more than a dozen, and
because it's true, shithead.
I'll put it like that.
If I can, if I can just hop in. Also, too.
Anna Polina Luna is the thing to say when you want a wacky end to your day. Right.
I think it's important to note that we have been working in a bipartisan fashion to make this as painless as possible for people.
Really? Is it so bipartisan, like the Les Wexner deposition? Was that bipartisan, or was it partisan because only Democrats showed up, or is it partisan because no Republicans did show up? I lean that way. I was just going to put my thumb on the scale there. I'm going to say that it was a partisan deposition of Les Wexner because you refused to show, and this is bipartisan because this was the one you wanted to go after, and Democrats are showing up for all of them.
That we're bringing in, but also to ensuring that there's accountability and transparency. You will hear a lot of
like the 56 documents about Trump allegedly assaulting a teenage girl. That like 3 of the 4 depositions the FBI took of her just vanishing from the fucking files. That kind of transparency. Great. I have such faith in this entire endeavor.
Spin sometimes out of politicos in Washington, but the fact is that it's our goal and objective following this, and we also too did ask for follow-up from the Secretary on producing legislation that will help prevent this from ever happening again in the future. Obviously, working.
Wait, you want her to do your fucking homework for you? Ask her for ideas? Are you crowdsourcing it? Like 100 legitips? Why don't you just, like 1-800-LEGITIPS? Just somebody, you call in and give us an idea how to solve this in the future. I have one idea. If you put up the 1-800-LEGITIPS thing and you actually are taking them, I would say don't vote for Epstein's wingman next time. Like the dude who literally was closer to him than anyone else in his circle. Trump was literally closer to Epstein than Les Wexner was. Les Wexner funded and was a patron of. Trump was a running buddy.
To combat trafficking, which has been a cause incredibly important, not just to myself, to Chairman Comer, to Representative Nancy Mace, but many members of this oversight committee. And so we are looking forward to continuing to provide that transparency. And Nancy, do you have anything?
First of all, I want to thank Secretary Clinton for being here for as many hours as she was here today. She took every question from every single member.
Way to fuck it up for everybody, Nancy. You're supposed to look at Comer. He's staring off into the middle distance. You can't back her up, dummy.
I thank my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats alike, for being here today.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you couldn't do that with the Les Wexner thing because, you weren't there.
And asking questions. I very much look forward to speaking to her husband, former President Bill Clinton, tomorrow. We have
that's who she's married to. I keep forgetting.
A lot of work to do. Not surprised by some of the answers, surprised by some, and you'll get the transcript very soon. But I want to thank everyone who participated. This is nowhere near
everyone. I mean, obviously, there were a couple of spoilers that almost fucked up the whole thing, right? I don't know who, but apparently there was, boink, boink, there was somebody who almost fucked up the entire deposition, and probably intends to do the same bullshit tomorrow. 2 words, Faraday bag.
From over and making my notes today, I've got names of individuals that I believe we need to haul to the Oversight Committee and ask them questions, ask them.
Do any of them go by Donald occasionally?
Of
course, kidding.
Perspective. Ask them about other potential witnesses or victims or potential predators.
Lutnick, maybe?
I think this is going to go on for.
How about neighbors? Let's just start at neighbors. You know, I would talk, you know, people across the street. Maybe they saw something out the window. People coming and going from the front door of that place, you know, beyond Prince Andrew and Bill Gates and Woody Allen and Sunyi Flavonoid and like that crowd. But maybe ask the neighbors across the street, like, hey, did you see anything? Like, do you hear any weird noises? Do you ever see a girl try to escape and, you know, some big burly dude drag her back inside? And that would be a good Criminal Minds kind of an episode question to ask. And then, of course, once you're done with the people across the street, ask the people who lived on either side of them. I don't know who lived over here, but I do know who lived over here.
A long time. There are millions of files. There are a lot of people involved.
I can think of one in particular. What was his name again?
And some of the gaps that have been seen, especially early on.
Oh, the gaps, like the gap of the girl who accused Trump of sexually assaulting her, slapping her in the face after he forced her to perform oral sex on her, and the 3 other reports that she did with the FBI that have been surreptitiously removed. One's in there, but the other 3 are just... Wait, there's too much evidence in those? Is that the problem? Because I'm going to guess that, like, the first one is just the general description of what happened. The second, third, and fourth one, the follow-ups, probably have more specific evidence in them, you know. And maybe those would be useful to somebody.
You know, are very evident after speaking with...
Evidence? There's plenty of that.
Today, and I just want to thank everyone for their time, and we have a lot of work to do, and I'm willing to work.
You're welcome. I'm glad I'm here. You're welcome to my time. This is kind of my gig now. I mean, I don't do it for you, obviously. I do it for the chat room and the viewers at home. So, but I appreciate it. I do.
Anyone who's willing to work with me, I'll work with you on getting to the bottom of.
Anyone. I mean, because you could ask, I just know that there's like 8 people in the current administration who have a lot of information, and they won't work with you, but they certainly could.
Making sure that this just doesn't ever happen again, and when it does, those predators are held accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
Oh, so you back Schumer's bill to get rid of the statute of limitations on on child victims? You support the Democrats' push for that, Ben? Work with anyone?
Thank you.
Go ahead, and then we'll whenever everybody's ready. So this is.
I've got to go straight to back to study hall after this. What the fuck?
A nonpartisan issue. If you've
No, it's partisan. It is partisan, or you guys would have shown up at the Les Wexner thing. Get fucked.
The Epstein Files is unspeakable evil in there, and the American people and the victims deserve transparency and accountability. The biggest thing I think we need to know is how do we strengthen laws to prevent human trafficking in America, if not the
Why, I don't know. Ask Pam Bondi.
world, and how does someone with such evil infiltrate the highest levels of the U.S. government and world leaders?
Money. Money, and then to present yourself as a bridge between, multiple innocent groups to put yourself at the center of a pivot point of celebrity and charity and education and government and arms trading, and then in the mix of that, you sort of hunt for fellow travelers in each of those groups as you play on the fame of other people to draw you in. So you got the fucking Chris Tuckers and the Bill Clintons of the world, and then you've got those who will help you along and support you in it, like Howard Lutnick and Donald Trump.
So we're going to continue to ask those questions and get answers for the American people.
Lauren, you don't want to say anything about the picture you took and how you almost fucked up the whole thing?
Take
We'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Clinton said in her opening statement, if Republicans were serious about investigating Jeffrey Epstein, that you would call President Trump to testify. Why won't you?
Well, President Trump has answered hundreds, if not thousands, of questions from you all about it.
Under oath. That's, under oath. Every reporter who has to ask, you have to reiterate the under oath part, because this has been their fallback. It annoys the shit out of me. This is always their fallback. He's answered a lot of questions about this, but he's never done it under oath. He's never done it with any legal ramifications. As a matter of fact, when he dry snitched on him to the cops and when he talked to the victim's attorney, he did so on purpose, preemptively, so he would not be deposed. He's like, I'll just volunteer to talk to you off the record. And I'll tell you what I know, and I don't know much. That's what he said. Because if you're deposed, you have to answer real questions, and if there's evidence that comes out later, which there's plenty of currently even in the limited Epstein files that we've had, that prove that what he was saying, off the record was a lie. If he'd have said those things on the record, that would be another example of consciousness of guilt and lying directly to the law enforcement and to I guess the Southern District of Florida at the time.
And I think he's been very transparent in releasing.
No, he has not. He had to be forced by an overwhelming veto-proof vote to release these files, and they still aren't doing it. Get the fuck out of here, transparent. The only thing transparent about this is the attempt at a cover-up. It's amazingly transparent. It is so obvious, even maggots notice.
We expect, hopefully, more documents to come in. We're still assessing the 3 million plus documents that we have.
Really? How many times you've assessed them? You've assessed some of them at least. How many times does Trump's name show up? How many direct interactions? How many calendar dates can you put them together in the stuff that you just have available now? You've obviously, I don't know why I turned into Captain Kirk talking like that. I don't understand. Spot, these people are full of shit.
We obviously will be moving on to the next phase.
Yeah, moving on. That's what we need to do. We need to move on. That's what the president has said. It's time to move on to another person who isn't implicated. Like, go talk to somebody else who is this close to you saying Trump and then
bringing more people in
and then avoiding it
for questions. So again, remember, this was a bipartisan subpoena by members of both parties to bring.
Yeah, same thing was true of Les Wexner, but you guys didn't show up for that.
In Miss Clinton. And it's just a shame that it took 7 months. And I know every member of our committee has.
You didn't even show up for the last one. Who gives a shit how long these take if you're only going to show up for the ones that you want to use as political dunkery?
A big list of names they want to bring in. These are big, powerful people that hire very skilled law firms, and they delay.
Yeah, some of them have even taken their private lawyer and put him in a position at the DOJ to run interference by having secret meetings with other co-conspirators. I don't know, I read that someplace.
And, part of when you delay in this investigation, it takes 7 months to bring a witness in like it did today. That creates a problem. So we're trying to move as quickly as we can. We're obviously following what's going on in the United Kingdom now. We're following, everything. I know that there are a lot of eyes, and hopefully the media will play a role in this.
They are. They're asking you why you're not bringing Trump in. This is the obvious part they are playing. And, and the part you're playing is the obfuscation and false transparency angle.
Media has a role. The documents have been made public. We're going to continue.
No, they have not.
To fight for more redactions. There are some names.
What? Ladies and gentlemen, it's not our first Freudian slip of the day, and it certainly won't be our last.
Documents have been made public. We're going to continue to fight for more redactions.
No shit. Well, also the Clinton thing would not have been delayed if you'd have just given them a public hearing like they initially asked for. It was only delayed because you guys insisted on doing it behind closed doors so that you could leak pictures via hand job Bobert over here, and then I guess in theory until Hillary Clinton beat you to the punch. we're gonna like slowly roll out clips to favor that you think make her look like she's annoyed or avoiding a question, or she's answered it for the 7th time. You play really, do we have to cover this? And it looks like she's avoiding a question when in reality she's saying it because she's answered it 8 times already.
There are some names who are redacted. I think we all agree shouldn't be redacted. I don't think they're who you think they are. So that's why we...
Well, I think a bunch of them are Trump, but I think those documents are hidden in their entirety.
Want those names?
Chairman, if I could just add in real quick to follow up on that, though, we asked specifically the victims, and we were all there, as well as the Speaker and the Democrat members of Congress, if the president was involved, and they exonerated him. So why would...
No, they didn't. Also, here's the thing. Maybe those aren't his victims. They're over 1,000. Maybe, here, let's go there. Maybe his victims are the dead ones. The ones that are buried at Zorro Ranch. Right? That's the question. No, the few that are there that you actually have that are coming forward, one of the reasons they might be coming forward is because they're not his victims. The ones that are his victims are scared shitless. He's president of the United States and he said he could kill somebody in the middle of 5th Avenue and get away with it. And the Supreme Court has basically backed him up on that.
We bring in the president of the United States, who's been exonerated, who cooperated with
No, he hasn't.
law enforcement, and who released
No, he has not.
the files when...
No, he did not. Congress forced the release of the files, and a discharge petition had to be used to just get it to the fucking floor. And the only person up there that I know of, well, no, I think Nancy Mace and Boebert both voted for that discharge petition. The others did not.
And we had to fight,
including Anna-Paulina Luna is a kooky.
We basically threatened to hold the Clintons in contempt if they didn't want to come in. So to be clear, we had cooperation. We asked the victims directly, and he was exonerated. So I would encourage all of you to at least...
Not exonerated. Quit it. I mean, that's like saying Iran's nuclear program is obliterated. Why would you need to attack them again then? Why would you need them to make a deal about a nuclear thing if it's gone?
The fair reporting, understanding that...
Hold on.
Just like you would not publish false statements about the Clintons and some of the allegations that have been made about them, you would give the president of the United States the same respect.
No, I will give them respect, the Clintons respect, because they are testifying under oath, you fucking moron. He was not exonerated because the victims you talked to weren't his victims.
And he also went to law enforcement.
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
We're going where the evidence is leading us. And no, you're not. Because it would have taken you right to the FBI building to go, where are the other 3 reports on the girl that was interviewed 4 times that alleges that Trump sexually assaulted her directly?
Hold on, can I ask?
Hold on a second, guys. Hold on.
Also, why are they calling in Dershowitz? Or is he just, claiming privilege?
Mr. Chairman, President Trump has released more files than anyone during the Biden administration. 0 files, no DOJ involvement. He has secured the border, lowered human
Yeah, you want the border opened?
Trafficking, and passed the House Republicans, and President Trump has passed anti-human trafficking legislation just his first year.
Mr. Coleman,
Sorry, has anybody else ever passed pro-human trafficking legislation? And is that not illegal still? I'm fairly certain human trafficking has been illegal in the United States, at least on the books, certainly, since, 1850 something.
Transparency, as you guys said moments ago, can you release any findings that were discussed today? You said some...
We're going to release that video, and you'll be able to see the whole thing as quick as we can get the video produced. But I think what will be interesting is some of the comments that Secretary Clinton made at the very end about Jeffrey Epstein. And I think that would apply to others that you all obviously have an interest in.
Oh, Lutnick.
Mr. Coleman, can I ask, you said that Bill Clinton is the man to ask questions. Or
that's what Mrs. Clinton said many times today.
Why bring Hillary Clinton along?
Again, for the 15th time, this was a motion made by Democrats and Republicans in a subcommittee on oversight. There were a list of people to bring in, and Bill and Hillary Clinton were on the list. And I'm glad we brought Hillary Clinton in because she's never really answered questions until in the last week about her relationship with Epstein and Maxwell.
Lack thereof.
She answered questions, and hopefully they'll be helpful as we move forward.
How? You were sitting there. Hopefully they'll be helpful. How? Like, how? Why? If the transcript and the video is going to come out, why would you just say one of them? Like, for example, she suggested we look into fucking Epstein's next door neighbor.
Are you now satisfied? On the Clinton Global Initiative, was that your main focus today with Secretary Clinton, and do you feel like you got the answers you were looking for?
Well,
And did you really get to the bottom of Benghazi finally?
I don't want to disclose too much of what was said, but most of the questions that we asked about the Clinton Global Initiative, which were very specific questions, some of them were backed by emails and other documents that have been released by the Department of Justice. She said that she was a senator, and you would have to ask her husband that tomorrow. So we have a lot of questions for her husband tomorrow, and I'm confident that deposition will last even longer than this one. So,
Chairman,
thank you all. Thank you all.
And we'll have a lot more pictures. Yeah, this was like a brutal fucking waste of time. Now let's go to the Democrats and what they said after it, and then we'll get on with Operation Distraction. Put Nutlick under oath? Absolutely. Yeah, they asked her about UFOs, and they asked her about, and I think the Democrats probably cover that. So let's check that out, and then we'll address the like Operation Distractio, which is happening. Like they just pulled the ripcord on it in the last couple of days. Like it's World War III is right around the corner, according to Tucker Carlson and Benny Johnson. That while this is going on, we've got bigger fish to fry. But we can't ask Trump. He's dealing with the potential breakout of World War III, right? That's going to be the refrain. By the way, Garcia's been fucking killing it.
Thank you. I'm Ranking Member Robert Garcia for Oversight Democrats. I'm going to make some brief statements, as will my colleagues, and then perhaps a question or two, and then we're going to get back to the deposition. As a reminder, this deposition has now gone on for about 2 hours, 2 hours plus 2.5 hours, and so that will continue.
Okay, hold on. This is the middle one. I want to, let's see, I want to do the one speak after the Clinton deposition. Beg your pardon. Because this was the one available earlier. Let's see. This is the head. Yeah, okay. So this is the standard here. Hold on. You'll recognize the same space after, either they came out first or Republicans did. I think
Secretary Clinton never met Jeffrey Epstein. She never visited the island. She
unlike Howard Lutnick
ever flew on his plane.
Unlike Donald Trump.
And she also had no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's horrific crimes. So zero knowledge.
Unlike Donald Trump and Howard Lutnick.
Of any wrongdoing. And you've also all heard that directly from her. Secretary Clinton is also completely cooperating with the deposition and the committee.
Thanks for subscribing, by the way. Could you subscribe? Would it hurt that much if you could just subscribe? I need to get to 100K if we're going to accomplish anything. Oops, sorry. What the fuck was that?
What is not acceptable is oversight Republicans breaking their own committee rules that they established with the secretary and her team, which you've all reported and you've seen by releasing photos. Not acceptable, and it was gracious of the secretary and her team to continue the deposition. The questions continue to build around this DOJ and the White House and the focus of the majority.
I don't know why USA Today is cutting this down, but maybe it's just for their site.
We want to understand right now where the missing FBI files are.
Mm-hmm.
These are files that accuse the President of the United States about serious accusations around sexual abuse. And the fact that they're not in the files and have been apparently either removed or discarded
which both are a violation of all already existing law.
Incredibly concerning. And so we're calling on Attorney General Pam Bondi to immediately release those files.
Which is adorable because she removed them for a reason.
And lastly, I want to also add that this committee has now set a new precedent about talking to presidents and former presidents. And we're demanding immediately that we ask President Trump to testify in front of our committee and be deposed in front of oversight Republicans and Democrats.
House Republicans need to get serious about this investigation. I understand now fully why Secretary Clinton wanted to make this deposition and her hearing public, because the reality is we are talking to the wrong person today. Who we should be talking to instead are people who are actually mentioned in the files, people who have made misleading statements about their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Earlier today, Chairman Comer mentioned being open to talking to Secretary Lutnick. Well, let's get him in. Let's talk to Secretary Lutnick instead. Let's talk to someone who is neighbors with Jeffrey Epstein, who actually associated with Jeffrey Epstein, not someone who had never, ever met Jeffrey Epstein to their knowledge.
One of the things that's been confirmed today is that in addition to having no relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, Secretary Clinton has no relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell. But there are important questions we should be asking the Trump administration about Ghislaine Maxwell. And I hope that our Republican colleagues...
Namely, why did Trump wish her well and talk about Jeffrey Epstein not as who he was, but, you know, something bad happened to her boyfriend?
...will join us in asking these questions.
We want to make a very clear demand right now, which is that the full transcript, unedited, of the Secretary's questions and the answers need to be released by the majority in the next 24 hours. We need the public and the American people have a right to know exactly what she said,
and exactly what she was asked and by whom.
Questions were asked of her.
And I got to tell you, there will be more enlightening parts of that transcript and that video in terms of who asked what questions and who repeated what questions and what they were going after, like who was targeting her and why, will be more revealing than anything that she says.
How she responded. That's transparency. She herself requested that the press and the public be allowed into the deposition. That was denied. And so at a very minimum, they need to immediately release the full transcript. And we're hopeful that tomorrow, for the former president, that the press would be allowed in and the public as well. That's been the request.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Thank you.
All right, then okay. So that's kind of the short cut down version of it. The primary thing is that Clinton said of Ghislaine Maxwell that she was an acquaintance known, you know, amongst other people, including, by the way, probably her husband and Jeffrey Epstein and Lutnick when he was hanging around the Clintons back then, right? I mean, shit. We could find out at some point that whoever plus one her to Chelsea's wedding is now in the administration. That would be a good question too. If she came as a plus one, who was that person? Who brought Ghislaine Maxwell to Chelsea's wedding? Like, that's a good question. Was it Lumler, the attorney? Right? So, yeah, in your humble opinion, Maxwell has her own files. And that's why she's still breathing. Well, here's the thing. It wouldn't matter if she had her own files. She has to have a dead man switch. Otherwise, you know, unless she knows where some stuff is and it'll come to light eventually. And so you're trying to protect her so that, like, if you kill her, somebody might find it. Like, you want to keep her alive long enough to tell you where the shit is so you can go dig it up, would be the theory. She was Don Jr.'s plus one. I wouldn't doubt it. Okay, so let's jump on if we go. Oh, by the way, Newsmax has I don't know, like an attitude about this whole thing. This is, I don't know who this douchebag is. Rosen says, Clinton closed-door testimony is why Americans hate Congress. First of all, Americans don't hate Congress. I don't hate my Congress people. I don't even have a chip on my shoulder about my party being in the minority or the work they do when they're in the majority. Sorry. I'm a realist, and I want actual progress. So, and I'm not like a fantastical enough in my thinking that I think you can shove stuff through and act like you're a dictator in a country that I would like to remain a democracy for as long as fucking possible, right? But this is their read on this. This is the reason it was closed doors because Republicans insisted that it was, and the Clintons insisted that it shouldn't be. That's what the whole contempt hearing and back and forth was about. Oops, sorry, I have to turn the audio on here.
James Rosen, as Democrats take the podium here.
We want to cut away because they might say something that's embarrassing to the president, which of course they did.
Jonathan Gilliam, want to talk to you, former FBI, okay? So they mentioned the FBI quite a few times right there. Trying to get to the bottom to whoever else was involved here. They're going to use what Hillary Clinton said to them. Obviously, she's been accused of doing nothing wrong at this point here. Your big takeaways.
How do you accuse someone of doing nothing wrong? Does that mean she was supposed to do something wrong and you're disappointed?
I mean, this is all, it's so ridiculous when you listen to this. Were people in the FBI absolutely in the DOJ doing things that they shouldn't have been doing? Absolutely. Should they be brought up on crimes? I think so. Not just fired. I think they should be investigated for criminal behavior and put in jail. But when you listen to this, to these people up here and their grandstanding, and you listen to all these different...
Well, what? You were in the FBI. Who? Who, motherfucker? Comey? Ray? Who?
Individuals and their take and their spin. It's so far from the reality of what this case is, what it should have been, what it could have been, and who was involved, that it now...
Well, thank God Trump is committed to full transparency, wouldn't you say?
That it's become a political circus, and it's interesting.
Yeah, whose fault is that?
That they're saying what they're saying. You could input J6 committee, and what they just said was absolutely what was happening before. The Democrats used something as grandstanding and camera time. It's
dude. The Democrats can't even compete with the J6ers camera time. The reason there was more evidence in that case than in any case in history was because these Jan 6 motherfuckers filmed themselves beating cops, you dumbass. That they made their own evidence. This drives me more than anything else in the J6 defense, industrial complex, to use Schellenberger and those dipshits' favorite, appendage. Verbal appendage. They're on tape. We're here to fucking kill Nancy Pelosi, and then they fucking tase a cop. This wasn't a fucking mystery. These people, and again, the idea that like Ray Epps or somebody went chill out, and that was code for attack. And does that mean because somebody told you to, you're no longer responsible for your fucking actions? So let me get this straight. This is according to the J6 defenders. The minute Ray Epps said, hey, cool out, don't attack cops, that was code for, hey, attack cops. And everything they did after that, they were basically hypnotized. J6ers are just dough-headed motherfuckers who all you have to do is tell them to calm down and they will beat police officers and take a dump in the fucking Capitol Rotunda.
It's really sad because of this, and
get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm sick of this J6 defense nonsense on the right. Somebody's got to push back on this every fucking time. It is so goddamn lame. They filmed themselves committing crimes proudly. And thousands of them were allowed to walk free. A few hundred went to jail because when they were arrested, they screamed at the judge and said, I'll do it fucking again. And then a bunch of them had to be rearrested because they attacked their own family members who turned them in as being part of that or showed the cops where they were. They didn't have to be turned in. Again, they filmed them fucking selves. They just went, he's hiding in the barn and he hit me in the face last night. Right? Or they've been busted as pedophiles themselves, for fuck's sake. Anti-Pizzagate pedophiles who attacked the Capitol got a pardon. Just try to fit that in your fucking skull. It's so fucking lame. Stop it. No. From now on, anybody who defends the Jan 6ers, the response should be, they filmed themselves committing crimes. Go watch anybody who was sentenced under Jan 6. If you defend them, you should be forced to watch their own Facebook videos.
Listening to James talk and knowing that he had been targeted by these people, it's very profound to me because...
Targeted? What the fuck are you talking about? James Comer? By who?
I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yes, I understand you beating your chest about taking that oath, while effectively verbally violating it by giving aid and comfort to domestic violators of the Constitution.
And when I took that oath, I took it very seriously.
Now, you just don't anymore?
And justice should be blind.
Right. So why did the Jan 6ers, the ones that actually went to jail, who were filmed committing violent crimes, why did they get pardoned? If justice is blind, get the fuck out of here with this nonsense. This is so aggravating. Fuck the Jan 6ers and all these dipshits. A bunch of people who should have gone to jail. More people that on January 6th that should have gone to fucking jail walked free than ever went to jail. And good Lord. There were a bunch of situations where you had two people right next to each other kicking the same fucking cop. And one of them said to the judge, "I'll never do it again," and was allowed to go fucking home. And the other one was like, "Fuck you, judge. I'm free to Donald Trump." And they went to jail because they're like, "If you let me out, I'll do it again." And then guess what? Trump pardoned them and they fucking did it again. They're in jail for threatening to kill Congress people. God.
Justice should go after people who are guilty of crimes, not people who are on the other side of the political aisle.
No. Hey, asshole. They didn't round up fucking Republicans on Jan 6. You had to be there. Yeah, it's like Jan 6 was an inside fucking joke to these people. You had to be there.
Supreme Court justices, we have federal judges, state judges, we have agencies all across in law enforcement that do things based on politics and going after people who may or may not be guilty of anything.
Yeah, you're describing the deposition of Hillary Clinton right there.
But it's strictly for politics and to ruin people. It does nothing for this nation, and it is driving me crazy as a former agent that upheld justice.
Yeah.
Past tense.
James, just taking the other side or taking that view, what those Democrats right there who were speaking are saying is similar to what Jonathan's saying, but the other side, they're saying this is just political theater. This is for that photo op that shouldn't have happened, but we'll go there. But we know that, Hillary Clinton is no stranger to being in the hot seat. I mean, she was...
Yeah, she's willing to sit down. She sat for 11 hours for Benghazi. They want Trump to get points for talking to fucking reporters.
Testified before Congress about Benghazi 4 times. This kind of all these questions about improprieties and relationships. This is nothing new to the Clintons. It doesn't mean they're
right, because they are willing to participate in the process in a way that Donald Trump is terrified of doing.
Guilty of anything here, but you've been covering this, James. Obviously, you've covered them for quite some time. So, are we seeing kind of the Clinton spin happening now?
Well, certainly you saw it in the remarks of those Democratic lawmakers addressing the news media outside the venue where these depositions are being conducted. But this is why really Americans have so little faith in Congress as an institution and in the American political system writ large. When we come back to that Chappaqua scene for the Republican lawmakers, they too will describe the proceedings that are unfolding indoors, behind closed doors, and you're going to get a completely different account. It's as if the two sides were witnessing two very different events instead.
No, it's exactly the political theater they were just talking about. You're just describing what she just fucking said, you dunce. Oh my God. And they're going to release the video of it. And Clinton was like, why don't we just do this live in front of everybody? If you're going to release the video anyways, the fuck does it make? What difference does it make? Just air it all day. I give a shit, right? It was the Republicans who were like, we want a chance to take a look at this and see what she's going to say before we release it, because she might dump on Donald Trump and she might know something about the inner workings of this. Certainly President Clinton might.
The same one. And that shows the kind of politicization of the process.
Okay, so tomorrow, I'm curious, and I would love for a Democrat to ask Bill Clinton if at any point he saw Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. Was he ever, did he ever come over to the house? Did he ever see him at an event? Did Epstein ever mention him? Did he talk about him? Did he try to get him together? Because apparently, Trump was, leaning Democratic, certainly back in those days, because he just basically follows the power line wherever it goes.
The partisanship that's at work, and it's why Americans have so little faith in these individuals on both sides of the aisle.
Nope. No, we don't. Like, there's entrenched tribalism right now. The people who don't have faith in both sides of the aisle are fucking maggots right now. They're crying out for Trump to testify as much as Democrats are. This is there is a bipartisanship across a very curious line, and it seems largely to be about why the fuck aren't they talking to Trump?
To represent them effectively.
Joe, your thoughts?
And again, fucking like regular order, quasi-libertarian, Republican talking points bullshit. You want to talk about like political theater? That's what that statement was.
Look, it's
politicization is not a word. Politicization is. It's just harder to say, so I think people are looking to make up a new one.
ridiculous to listen to those lawmakers grandstand about the protections for the rich and the famous while they are themselves trying to protect the rich and the famous.
Are you talking about Comer?
Bill Clinton
is coming in tomorrow.
Most famous person to ride the Lolita Express.
Nope. Not even close.
We need to have answers if you actually care.
Sorry, do you think Trump was never on the... Does this asshole think Trump was never on the plane?
About the children. But
former U.S. Senate candidate, New York. I see. All right.
There is a theme here.
Saying somebody's running again and hoping to ride a maggot wave that's not coming.
Because the same individuals that didn't seem to care that Christopher Wray went before Congress, the former director of the FBI.
Oh, yeah, the guy that Trump appointed after he illegally fired the guy before him.
And couldn't answer a simple question from Congressman Clay Higgins. Did we or did we not have confidential informants inside the Capitol on January 6th? Says he could neither confirm nor deny. The same.
Right, because confidential informants will get fucking killed, dummy. That's not agents. I hate this fucking line, too. Jesus Christ. Really? They're using this to relitigate Jan 6. It's a fucking loser, buddy. Holy shit. Of course, they didn't have confidential informants going into the Capitol. They had confidential informants once the shit started going down at the Capitol and people were like, holy fuck, this is really popping off. I think they're going to kill cops. Somebody help. That's the informants that they had. But if they out those people, they're fucking dead.
Individuals that did not care about the fact that we had a FBI attorney named Kevin Kleinsmith who literally fabricated evidence to get a FISA warrant to investigate the Republican nominee for president.
Oh, no. He changed the FISA warrant to make it less likely that Carter Page would continue to be followed. He was trying to help he was trying to help Trump because Carter Page was their fucking courier. Allegedly.
J. Trump, and then continued investigating him.
Honest to God, do you feel like you're watching somebody who stopped reading newspapers like 1 year into the first Trump term and just has avoided all information since then, and maybe didn't pay attention up until that year?
After he got into the White House and didn't serve a single day in jail.
Yeah, because he didn't do anything illegal.
Telling us that they are concerned about the state of our democracy. And so we are no longer listening to them. We unfortunately have to treat them as hostile participants in our democracy.
What? Why? Because they're actually going through with interviewing under oath members of their own party, while Republicans are refusing to interview people on their side of the aisle. All right.
And I think today just continues to exhibit
it's just, again, this is fucking gibberish.
How much they themselves are unserious about this very process.
Okay, and we know Bill Clinton gonna go through his deposition tomorrow.
Yes, way to button that. Yes, and tomorrow Bill Clinton a former president of the United States is going to sit for a deposition in front of the House Oversight Committee. Specifically, Republicans and Democrats answer all their fucking questions all goddamn day long, just like his fucking wife did. And to this asshole, that's political theater and Democrats being unserious about the whole thing. Meanwhile, Republicans think that Donald Trump talking to the press and never answering a question under oath is the equivalent, and that he's been exonerated because Nancy Mace has only talked to victims that weren't themselves victimized by Donald Trump, because the other ones are either scared to fucking death or dead already.
We got to leave it there. Joe?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Jonathan, James, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, we learned so much, and we're all a little bit stupider for having listened to that shit. Oh my God. All right, so what's happening in the in the distraction matrix that's going on? This is, let me find this real quick. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, we need a little bit of backstory. Where is it? Here. Nope. Oh, well, first, let's just jump to this. The White House has decided to put out one of their little puff videos using an amputee in their thumbnail. Cabinet secretaries, listen to this shit. Like, this is so fucking Kim Jong-un. Cabinet secretaries share their favorite memories with President Trump. It's like we haven't seen him since the Sodu. Did he pass away? Are they eulogizing him ahead of time? Fucking hell. Okay.
One of my funniest memories
is when I was redacting accusations about him raping a 13-year-old girl. And I was like laughing to myself, like, how did I get here?
Now President Trump was about 15 years ago, and I went to visit him at one of his golf clubs.
Oh, you mean when you had taken over the office there, you were going to, and he gave you an illegal contribution because you helped run interference for Trump University. And during your time as AG, you could have torn up the non-prosecution agreement against the Epstein co-conspirators, and you didn't. During that period, so funny. So funny. Now I know why you're sitting in an empty room.
And they said, oh, he's in the lobby. I went in the lobby, and I couldn't find him. And then
What'd you just go, oh, I smell shit.
I hear, Pam, Pam. And he is on top of a ladder himself, hanging an oil painting of a golf portrait in one of his resorts. And that is the man's attention to detail.
It was a portrait of himself that I'm fairly certain it's the one that he used charity funds to pay for. What the fuck? A golf portrait. What was it? It's just a painting I had commissioned. It's just called Golf. Yeah, it's a shot of Smales from Caddyshack.
Resorts. And that is the man's attention to detail.
That's not attention to detail. Would be you'd be standing on the ground, and someone else would be hanging it, and you would, be, I guess, making sure that it's done right. It sounds like he's being a cheap son of a bitch.
I was negotiating a trade deal with Malaysia, and I was scheduled to meet with the prime minister of that country the night before.
What is with the piano music? Good God. This feels like a eulogy.
Or the president called me, and I let him know that I would be speaking to the prime minister the next day. Jameson, he said, do a favor for me. Once you get in there, call me, and I want to talk to him. He said, Mr. President, it's probably going to be about midnight in Washington when I'm meeting with him. He said, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. I'm sundowning. I can't sleep regularly at all. My brain is turning to cottage cheese and, is aging like, gas station sushi on a windowsill.
Just watch my phone. And by the time they were done, they had essentially finished negotiating a trade deal. And I think more was done for U.S.-Malaysia trade relations in that 10 minutes than had been done in the many years prior.
Yes, I can't get over how many wonderful products are shipping out of the United States to Malaysia now, and how many excellent Malaysian things are in the grocery stores and stores, all that stuff. I'm kidding. It's probably just crypto and oil, probably.
I remember last year, some veterans who had been wounded, who'd taken grievous injury for our country, came to visit him. But one thing stuck out of my mind is
his last time he didn't want to meet with him because he got icked out by it. And now he realizes he can't.
Had prosthetic devices, and they came in and actually were taking those prosthetic devices, and the president would actually sign them.
That's amazing. That is so touching. And he He has no idea what happened to them.
You could see in his eyes how much he cared and how much he
Could you? Really? You could just look right in his eyes and see how much he cared about what, his own signature?
appreciated what these veterans had done for this country.
I think my
Oh, God. The great Gonzo.
most exhilarating memory of the president is when I did the endorsement of him at the Turning Point Conference in Arizona in the middle of our campaigns. And then I just, for humor.
Yeah, you weren't in the middle of your campaign. You were at the end of your campaign. And then the beginning, I guess, of your new campaign to work for Trump, which you already were doing in your run. You were running as a spoiler, but it was such a shitty effort that it wasn't going to work. So you decided to join the team and take those voters over to him. You wouldn't peel off enough voters from the Democrats by yourself, but you might like round up the anti-vaxxer crowd and bring them to Trump Town. Hold on, let me back up.
And then I just, for humor, it was when he took me hostage on his airplane and tried to make me eat a Big Mac.
One of my favorite memories.
He took you hostage. No, he posted a picture of you assholes sitting around eating fucking Big Macs, and you sat there like the toady you fucking are. That was so funny when he made me look like, when he put out that picture that showed what a fucking hypocrite I am.
It was when he took me hostage on his airplane and tried to make me eat a Big Mac.
One of my favorite memories with
So you didn't eat it? That's what you're saying? You just sat there and stared at it? You didn't eat it? You didn't share it with him? Everybody else will say so?
President Trump was when I brought my granddaughter in to meet him.
Well, sorry. It certainly wasn't your dog, because he doesn't like him, and neither do you.
And he spent so much time with Miss Addie, gave her one of his special challenge coins and lots of treats. The fact that he cared about a little
You do realize we're in the middle of the Epstein Files, and reports have come out that he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old, and part of those documents have been surreptitiously removed from the documents. I just don't think you want to bring up as your anecdote how much time he spent with a little girl.
year-old and spent time with her, just showed me what kind of a president he is.
Not busied by the actual work of the job.
Only in Donald Trump's administration could I be with Xi Jinping in Korea one moment and Nicki Minaj talking about Trump accounts the next. Only Donald Trump.
Yeah, can I have a qualifier on whether that's actually a good idea? Also, what do you mean only Donald Trump? You don't think other like trade representatives or treasury secretaries were in the Oval Office with celebrities that wanted to meet Obama and then were also doing their fucking job? That's their favorite memories, by the way. And very few of them actually involve a genuine interaction between them. It's something they watched him do and they're like, I was so touched by watching him do human. It was amazing. I was standing next to J.D. Vance as they changed his batteries. And as soon as he rebooted, he felt the same way, I think. Because I looked on, his little display screen. Jesus Christ. Do you think they play that video for him to make him feel, just like I was about to say make him feel better, but I think just to get him up to do the fucking job. Look, Mr. President, what we made for you. Everybody just made this little present for you. Isn't this wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? All right, hold on. Let me close out some of these windows so I'm not eating up all my bandwidth. All right, what's the other distraction? Tucker! Here with his double butt crack forehead look that he's famous for. Almost as famous as his goofy Catholic schoolgirl laugh. Tucker, World War is close. I guess we're not even numbering them at this point.
Most Americans probably weren't aware that we are on the verge of a massive regional war in the Middle.
Really? We're not, because I think most of us are aware he sent an armada to surround Iran. And of course, they're buddies with Russia, and so are you. So you went there and you lobbied on behalf of the Ayatollah, sure. Not because you give a shit about this, a war breaking out, but because it's a war breaking out around one of your buddies.
East, if not a third world war. We are. the largest movement.
Well, we would have been if Harris was in there or Clinton. I mean, it's the deep states, man. Like, Trump doesn't want to do it, obviously. You know, he's just being forced to do it by the Pentaveret
Of American military hardware is, since 2003, the Iraq invasion, is now in or steaming toward the Persian Gulf off Iran.
Maybe it's a double bluff. Maybe he's going to attack Iraq again. Maybe he's going to take Afghanistan. He never wanted to leave in the first place. Maybe they're there so they can launch a new attack on the Taliban and we can take back Bagram, which he wants to do. You think he'll do that before or after we attack Iran?
Preparatory to what could be the aforementioned war.
Yes, you did mention it afore.
Now, most people, once again, probably didn't know this. Those who...
Yes, most of your viewers are indeed stupid.
Did know it, weren't for it. The recent polls on this question, are you for a war with Iran?
Yeah, as a non-qualifier, I'm sure it has its issues. I think a lot of people would go, yeah, I'm against it. Is there a reason to have one? If they don't know, they're probably going to go, I'm against a rando war. Sure. Also, they do have a functional military, or they did. But then that's what they said about Russia, so it's hard to know.
1 in 5 Americans support it. The rest are probably asking, war with Iran? Why would we have a war with Iran?
Yeah, the rest, and he's got, obviously he has the his thumb on the pulse of America, or I guess somewhere else.
I like wood, deeper and longer.
Mm-hmm. They said no idea. The president did address it last night in his State of the Union and at a press conference. And he said in public what he basically says in private, Trump being one of those rare public figures who's pretty much the same.
Pretty much. Certainly not around the Epstein Files, but sure, pretty much.
Behind closed doors as he is on stage. Says pretty much the same stuff. He's a little funnier in private, but basically he's not a different guy.
More, and by the way, what he means by funnier is more racist, bigoted, sexist, and derogatory, which Tucker finds funny.
Same guy. And he's been saying the same thing about Iran for a long time. Really two things. One, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. He says it again and again. He really means it. That's not a talking point. It's completely sincere.
Well, the sincerity would have to be judged on why he says that and on whose behalf. And under Tucker's opinion, he says that and believes it is a real thing because Netanyahu told him.
And two, I would prefer a negotiated settlement. I would prefer peace rather than war. And that's...
Which is what he said repeatedly before attacking countries.
Obviously true. So to...
No, it's not. No, it isn't. Sometimes it's a head fake. The last time he did this, he was like, we'll let you know in a couple days, and then he attacked right after.
Bottom line, where we are right now at the end of February 2026 on this looming Iran war, seems likely. Have all those aircraft carriers in the Persian Gulf, planes ready, missiles ready, but it's not certain because the president hasn't decided to do it. And you may...
Well, that's not... Also, you don't know if he's made the decision or not. You're taking him at his word because you're an idiot.
I get that impression either from watching the news. There's this sense that it's inevitable. And that's kind of a psyop, actually.
No, it's kind of not. People are expecting him. You don't move all that shit there just as a bluff. It's a tremendous waste of resources. And more than likely, people think it's inevitable, not because they want it to be inevitable, and it's a psyop. They're trying to convince the American people, well, we just got to do it. It's yellow cake all over again. As a matter of fact, most people are seeing this through the lens of the post-9/11 war doctrine, where everybody's like, oh, shit, here we go again. That's why the 4 in 5 are against it.
Designed to make you think there's nothing you can do about it? No.
There isn't.
Trump has not decided to do this. Again,
how do you know?
Seems likely. All the momentum is in that direction.
So that's what the reports are saying in the news, and that's what where the concern is. Yours as well.
But the president's the sole decider on this question. He's
a decider. All right.
Commander-in-chief. And he's showing no...
Yeah, except he's not supposed to declare war on a country without Congress. That's because this isn't just a retaliatory thing. They didn't attack us, and and that's why these moved in. We moved these things in after he had already bombed their nuclear program into obliteration, and now he's got to re-obliterate it.
Obvious signs of enthusiasm. And why would he? There are a lot of reasons not to do this. The first being the one just mentioned, which is most Americans don't want it.
Yeah, that's true of a lot of things, including his stupid fucking tariffs.
And though it's not a direct democracy, it's a form of democracy, and you probably shouldn't commit history-changing acts without the support of your people. And
why? He does it all the time.
Trump feels that way.
No, he doesn't.
This is
where the fuck did you get that idea?
Someone who pays very close attention to, say, TV ratings. Why is that?
Right, but that's not him being reflective of democracy. He's picking certain channels, and if certain people cheerlead him enough, he'll just assume the other polls are fucking fake. He said so.
It's because he worked in TV, but because he thinks they're a pretty good measure.
He did not work in TV. He was on TV. He did no work.
Of what people are interested in. He cares about what people think. And he's willing to listen to almost anybody.
Oh, great. That makes me feel much better about this decision.
So that's a good reason not to do it. The public's not behind you. Maybe you've got great reasons to do it that they don't know about yet. But we haven't heard those, and the president hasn't really explained them other than to say Iran is bad. Yes, that's been the official U.S. position since 1979. Iran.
Right, but we haven't sent an armada there preemptively, even though we've said this and dealt with them as such through a lot of different political and economic windows and even through proxies. But that's what makes this different. It's not like, well, Trump, just like, when Bush or Obama said Iran's a problem, Trump's just saying Iran's a problem, but sending 60% of our naval assets there. It's the same thing.
Can have nukes. That's always been the president's position. And we would like some kind of settlement.
Well, I was under the impression that we had knocked out their ability to do it, period, last year. Obliterated was the word.
The reason he's not eager to start this war...
citation needed.
...is because he, in general, isn't eager to start wars.
Where do you get that from?
Hasn't been, anyway. But because this would...
Why? Because one hasn't started yet? It's only been a year. And we've already bombed Syria and Yemen and a bunch of other places at the same time. And we bombed Iran once already. What do you mean he's not? Well, you could argue that started this war. He just wants them to surrender. He thinks the initial bombing would cow them into surrender. And if it doesn't, then he's going to do a full-scale war. That seems to be the strategy here. That's what all that peace... You think they changed the name to Department of War... Yeah, because Dodd sounds weak and Dow sounds heavier.
Be a particularly
good God
tough war.
Hold on.
This is the largest buildup since the Iraq War, but Iran is not Iraq. It's much, much, much bigger and much more technologically advanced. The population of Iran is about 92 million. In 2003, almost exactly.
Also, what difference does that make? I mean, honest to God, like the kind of warfare he's talking about, like Trump's not talking about boots on the ground. He just means to decimate the place from the air. Why do you think he talks up the B-52s? You think we're going to even need soldiers in this war? With an armada that fucking size? Are you crazy?
Actually, 23 years ago, when we rolled into Baghdad, the population of Iraq was 25 million.
Yes, and we rolled in there. That's the other lesson learned from these assholes is that they're just going to strafe bomb the fucking place.
So Iran is more than 3 times bigger. The landmass of Iran is 6 times bigger.
Yes, but it's also more tribally divided, same as Iraq was.
It's huge. It's a huge, pretty advanced country compared to Iraq. So that's a
pretty advanced
problem right there. This is a serious thing to start a war with a real country.
Agreed.
Are we in a position to do that? Well, there's some debate about that. The U.S. military...
Yeah, we've never had debate about whether to attack or not attack a country before. Every other president's just done it.
Performs in a remarkable way under certain circumstances. But is the U.S. military right now ready for a prolonged conflict with a big country? No, it turns...
Yeah. Yeah, the problem is what's the level of obliteration necessary in this situation? Believe me, the U.S. Navy alone could take out every military strike, every military site in Iran 6 times over. We're not going to get into Russia-Ukraine. I mean, it's so stupid. The concern isn't that we're not ready. The concern is that we could do it pretty easily. The point is, it's not could, it's should.
These are facts taken from open source material that have been published. They're on the internet. You can look it up. None of this is classified. This is all out there. But current estimates suggest that the United States is so low on some munitions, partly because we've used them in the defense of Israel already in the last 12 months.
You do realize that Israel would also join in on this. There's just no fucking way they wouldn't. That's the plan. And that's probably why he hates the idea, not because it's a bad idea, but because of who would be our partner in it.
But whatever the cause, the United States is so low on certain kinds of munitions that were we to have even...
By the way, this asshole also thinks Russia is winning in Ukraine.
A brief but intense engagement with Iran.
And it's a better country than America. Also, Russia is a much better country than America. Everything is awesome, and the people live at a higher level than any American could ever aspire to. Very clean, mostly devoid of gays, I think is what he means, but...
Our military would not be ready for like 10 years to fight a real war against, a peer or near peer adversary.
Right. Like China or what everybody thought Russia was. That ain't Iran. Iran's got a decent sized force, but they've spent a lot of their money through proxies, and those proxies have largely been hit pretty hard. And again, it wouldn't just be us. It would be us and the Israelis together. So, believe me, we're not going to run out of bullets. And as a matter of fact, Donald Trump would welcome the economic push, effectively the war-footing addition to the American economy that will help him bail himself out of some of the shit, the holes he's dug with his tariffs. By the way, this is like war with Iran is a stupid idea, and Donald Trump is picking a fight, that need not be picked, especially if one is to be believed that he even set back their nuclear aspirations a few years, much less quote unquote obliterated them.
So out the window would go any hope of defending Taiwan. Whether or not it's a good idea is kind of,
We don't have to defend Taiwan. The Chinese will lose 1 million people on the attack on Taiwan. Like they've got sea drones for Taiwan. They've got air drones for Taiwan. It's just stupid. This is not like us protecting Taiwan from China. Like China wants us to get into a war with Iran, so we run out of shit to fire at China when they attack. Good God.
Up to you to decide. But that would not even be on the table because we wouldn't be able to. We would be much weakened by this because we don't have the stockpiles and we don't have the necessary industrial capacity to replace them quickly. So we are not in a position to have a lengthy engagement and ever.
Right. He doesn't plan a lengthy engagement. That's why he's big on the B-2s. He's expecting shock and awe and no boots on the ground. There also is a bigger tide of citizenry in Iran that would take over the leadership in a way that didn't exist in Iraq or even in Afghanistan. They're also more, the public is more advanced there in that regard as well. It's a stupid plan, but it's not the same thing. And these false equivalencies are just him protecting Russia's buddy.
One at the Pentagon who's gaming us out understands that. And again,
they game out everything. It's their job.
Has been reported publicly, though not necessarily in the New York Times or the Washington Post, at least not on the front page. But it's widely known. So it'd be a tough war. We're not in a great place to fight it right now. And the potential downsides are absolutely real. Lots of things could happen.
Wow, breaking news. Thank God we come to Tucker Carlson for this incredible breakdown of information we all already have. I guess simply, again, this is another one of those videos he does when he gets talking points directly from Russia. That's what this is. And sometimes, I've said that there's like some good ideas that have bad shepherds. This is another one of those. This is where, generalized, this is why 4 out of 5 Americans are against this idea. So it's not news. It's just populist claptrap. Just jump on the fucking bandwagon. But join it because you are being funded by people who are buddies of this particular group. You notice he wouldn't give a rat fuck if we bombed one side or the other in Sudan. He wouldn't care. I mean, maybe he would to the extent of like, why are we wasting bullets protecting any black people at all?
There are tens of thousands of Americans.
I mean, the biggest reason he hates Bill Gates is not because of his proximity to Epstein, but because of he was fighting malaria in Africa, and to Tucker, that's like natural selection.
In the region, of course, in uniform and out, they could be hurt or killed. There's Israel, our ally, which is probably a little more vulnerable than we pretend it is to conventional.
Based on what?
Attacks from ballistic missiles.
Which would be busy, I guess, firing at our ships.
Math on how many missiles Iran is believed to have versus how many anti-ballistic missiles Israel has, or we have to defend Israel. They could be in trouble. And then there's a question of...
Yeah, so we understand the concept that war is dangerous, I think is the point. Move on. Get on with it.
What happens to Iran? Like, does it fall apart?
Probably.
Does it disintegrate as a country?
No, it's got a populace that actually wants it to exist as a country. There's an actual genetic component of Iranians that are natural to the area, so they would like the country. They just were colonized by Islam, and that's the way they viewed it for a long time.
To be clear, as of tonight, there is no Israeli plan for what comes the day after we depose the Ayatollah.
How do you know? I mean, you're friends with Vladimir Putin. Why the fuck would they tell you? Maybe they have 5 plans, and they the fuck is this?
Knock out the leadership of the country. What happens then?
They bring in exiled leadership and go to the UN and try to help with a reconciliation thing to get a new government in place the same way shit happened in Syria, maybe? Obviously.
You're going to put in the former king's son or something?
Yeah, or something like that.
No one believes that's real. Will the country hang together with Pahlavi on the throne? Come on.
Sorry, so these people need to be ruled over by a dictator to exist as a country because that's just in their genes, I guess?
No one is thinking this through because the people pushing this clearly don't care what...
Oh, I see. The people pushing this. I think he means Mark Levin is who he's talking about. And if Trump does it, it's not because Trump wants it. It's because Mark Levin pushed him into it.
Happens.
And Lindsey Graham.
After. The point is to take out Iran as a coherent country, not to protect Israel, but it...
Well, wouldn't that do it? I mean, if you take it out as a coherent country under the Ayatollah, so mission accomplished. You're saying mission. Jesus
in order
Christ.
to sweep Iran aside as a regional rival.
Yeah, that's exactly the point.
Once Iran is gone, there's no question as to who controls the Middle East. It, of course, would be the only nuclear-armed power in the Middle East, Israel.
Well, it would also be Saudi Arabia because their mortal enemy would be gone, and it would benefit the Saudis tremendously, and the Qataris, who you famously have a relationship with, and the UAE, and I mean that is the current. It's not just Israel. There's a Sunni Shia break in this that has been an aspect of this forever. The Saudis would really love for Iran to be run by different people. Because they are their primary rival. As much as they might say it's Israel, it really is Iran. There are sections of Saudi Arabia that have like people that are in alignment on the border of the ocean there, or the sea there rather, that are in Saudi Arabia that are aligned with Iranians, and then on the Iran side there are people on that coast that are aligned with the Saudis. It's been going on for a long time.
Period. That's the reason. The problem is, if the country were to disintegrate, the downstream effects would be profound for everybody else.
Like what?
You would likely have refugee crises. Where would they go? Well, Europe. They haven't enough refugees. They might.
Why would the Iranian refugees go there if their country collapsed when it wouldn't be a bunch of Iranians would go back because of the reason they left?
Go right across the water to Qatar.
Hold on.
Or UAE. Oh, that could be a huge, huge problem.
For why? Because you just bought property there?
So why would they push for this? Well, you have to think that the people pushing for this are not stupid. They've thought through the consequences. Let's say the United States attacks Iran.
Okay. The United States attacked everybody.
Maybe Iran just says, you're absolutely right. We're evil. We're rolling over. Everybody in charge is going to retire, commit ritual suicide. We're going to turn it over to some Western Democrat who brings in pro-choice politics and gay marriage. And we're cool. We're going to join NATO at that point. That's great.
What a terrifying notion. You mean Iran would go back to before it was colonized by the Ayatollah's people?
But what if...
Notice, by the way, the nightmare scenario is that gays could live safely there.
Iran decide...
Might be the other reason why he hates Israel.
It's better to die on your feet than on your knees, and just unleashes its conventional arsenal against American assets in the region, against Israel, and critically, against energy infrastructure in the Gulf. What would happen then?
They would be completely wiped out, and then there would be a big, expensive rebuild, and a lot of our bases would be evacuated during the attacks if we didn't have the ability to respond to what the fuck you think? Exactly that.
Well, you would see a global depression if they did that, if they were successful in doing
Why?
that.
Why? Why would there be a global depression without Iran? Oh, I see. Sorry, because it would lead to the continued collapse of the Russian economy, right?
If the extraction facilities and refineries and petrochemical plants in the Gulf were disabled.
Why would those be the primary targets and not the civilian areas and the military bases? They're just going to, you think they've got enough munitions in Iran to just hit everything in the region? They're just going to be like the end of war games. They're just going to dump everything.
How expensive would oil be per barrel? How much would gasoline cost? What would steel go for? Well,
I don't know. I think there are a lot of people in the oil, steel, and gas industries that I guess are now rooting for it. Maybe they're the ones behind it. Because oil prices are going down. The only reason they've gone up is because of a threat on Iran.
Liquefied natural gas, which goes to both Europe and China. What would happen to Europe?
They would continue to get the vast majority of their stuff from Norway and the United States, like they did when they broke off with Russia.
If you disrupted the flow of LNG from the Gulf to Europe, what would happen if you close the Straits of Hormuz, the choke point at the end of the Persian Gulf? Whew. I mean, wouldn't destroy the world forever, probably.
Probably.
But it would tank the economy in the meantime.
And that's never happened before.
For sure.
It's almost like Trump's buddies would want to buy the dip.
And who would...
Speaking of dip.
For most. Well, let's see. The Gulf states, Europe, and the United States. It's kind of weird.
Well, I think the Iranians might suffer a little. I'm just going to say, if the Iranians were attacked and their only response was total annihilation of any target within range, the response to them would be pretty bad. I'm fairly certain the populace of Iran would get hit fairly hard in this equation, don't you think?
That anybody, especially an ally, would push for a conflict that's almost guaranteed to hurt its so-called allies. Why would you do that?
I think because the theory that they're pushing is that if they don't do it, it will eventually lead to that, and it will be done in such a way that it is even, an order of magnitude of violence and death, them being a nuclear power, that's the argument, than if you hit them now. It's stupid, but that's the reasoning.
You can tell me you love me, but if you're encouraging me to commit suicide, you're probably lying.
It's a labored analogy. I know why he makes it, because, if you want to take something that's gray and you're not intellectually capable enough to process all the working parts, it's better to just devolve it into a stupid binary.
It's possible that we should judge people's intentions by the effects of what they do.
Oh, you mean so Trump saying tariff was his favorite words, but it actually fucks up the economy and ruins, you got more bankruptcies in small and medium-sized businesses directly related to the tariffs, whereas giant corporations can ride it out and benefit from having their competitors effectively swallowed up by the tariffs. And it effectively could be that ultimately tariffs, the whole point of it is as a protection racket for monopolies. That ultimately that may even be the primary reason Trump wants to do this tariff thing, that on behalf of giant corporations, you wipe out all the small businesses and all the middlemen that could be competitors, so that there's no one left standing that can compete with them, and because they can absorb the tariffs in a way that the other ones can't. You mean like that? So if you look at what's actually occurred, no matter what they said they wanted to have happen, if the results are different than what they stated in the first place, they're fucking assholes. I would look forward to you looking at every other aspect. It's almost like the release of the Epstein Files, for example.
Not by their own description of their motive. America's
All right, I don't even know what the fuck. Like, is that? I mean, I don't need to watch any more of this, certainly. But does he just end it with an ad like this? Hold on. Yep. Yeah. And brought to you by Good Ranchers. We're about to die. Everyone's going to die. And someone stupid is making a decision that Trump is just going to have to follow. And if he does it, we got to judge him based on what he does, not what his reasoning is. But not him, obviously, but the people who gave him the reasoning. So if Trump attacks Iran, it's going to be, we can blame Mark Levin and whatever placeholder Jew that Tucker Carlson doesn't like. In the meantime, because Israel will have like almost no choice but to back us in this situation, whether they want to under Netanyahu or everybody else in their parliament doesn't want to, it won't matter, because once it's game on, fuck, everybody's got to jump in there. Brought to you by Good Rancher. The reason I wanted to show you that is because there has been this back and forth about this, and Lana Douche is drawing attention to it. This is partly like, apparently Tucker Carlson showed up at the White House, insisted no pictures of him being there be taken or whatever, or Trump did. It's hard to say. Sorry, wait 1 second. I apologize. I usually don't have to do it for the picture. It's usually only for video, but god damn, this is rough. That is one of the worst nunts. It's almost like like Tucker Carlson's thumb is pointing right into it. I apologize. Just as a nut warning for everybody, prepare yourselves. This is Lana Douche, if you don't remember. She used to be the spokesperson for the NRA, and now she blathers like a real housewife of Mar-a-Lago. Oh, she's
about State of the Union, getting everything kind of set up for that. In addition to all of this, we were talking about State of the Union, getting everything kind of set up for that.
Yeah, it's so exciting. You're doing such a great job. It's wonderful. I don't even know why I'm even here.
I've been seeing, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, the whole...
We totally did. I mean, I didn't see it because why the fuck would I?
Stuff, the whole thing with Tucker Carlson.
She looks like a tree frog. Come on, guys. Chat room, easy. Palate cleanser. Roseanne or Kat? Sorry. I think the Roseanne thing. We got a Roseanne one if you want to see that.
And the disastrous interview that he did with Mike Huckabee.
And by the way, who's it a disaster for? Both? For Huckabee. Huckabee's a fucking lunatic. Huckabee thinks that, like, Israel has a right to all the countries around it. Like, fuck Jordan or trans Jordan. That's gone. Right?
I do think that that's one of the reasons that he pulled the stunt that he did at that airport, because he knew that, you know, this was going to be a poo show, right? It was going to be bad. So now I've seen people float this headlines like this, quote, Trump team on damage control after Huckabee comments on Israel.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be, because they're fucking insane. I'll show you those in a moment.
And it's a Politico piece that's written by someone who's known, a byline that's known for just reprinting Oppo. I mean, if you work...
I mean, it's true, but, you know, because they wrote it, I'm going to cast aspersions on the person that wrote it, because, you know, I agree with it, but I can't be seen agreeing with it, so...
media at all. You get to know the bylines that do and the bylines that don't. So they're trying to make it like it's Mike Huckabee's problem.
It is Mike Huckabee's problem.
Imagine that this is coming. Look, I got questions.
I mean, it's all their problem. I got to say, like, I don't mind. Republicans eating each other's asses right now, and I'm for it, but Jesus.
And I'm going to tell you guys, a lot of this is about shuffling the deck and getting ready for post-Trump.
Ooh, shit. Sorry, at what stage of the shuffle are we at? Are we going to be dealing by June?
Tucker Carlson's son, Buckley, is like a deputy press guy within J.D. Vance's campaign. J.D. Vance was heavily promoted by Tucker and Peter Thiel. No matter what, and I know a lot of people don't like Mitch McConnell. God knows that I have my complaints with him over the past, 10 plus years I've been on air. But J.D. Vance wouldn't even be in the Senate had Mitch McConnell not come in to the tune of like $32 million and bailed him out because he was not leading his Ohio Senate race. And even after that amount of money, he only won by.
Are you enjoying this as much as I am? This is, by the way, just to catch you up, this is Lana Douche explaining why J.D. Vance is a fucking loser and why he will be a loser in 2028, and that people are like building a narrative, or at least trying to build up J.D. Vance so that he doesn't just egg the entire fucking thing after, by the way, they lose the midterms and possibly the House and the Senate.
Barely a percentage point. It was that incredibly close. But there is an effort to try to shuffle the deck to position Vance after Trump. And I think this is all part of it personally.
First of all, that's fairly normal in politics. What makes this special is they don't think after Trump means the end of the term. They think it means like this fucking year.
These are people they're setting the ground.
By the way, her lips are not AI. That is just filler gone mad. Good Lord. Maybe she just has a strawberry allergy.
Seeding the ground, I think, to push out people like Rubio. We're going to do a deep dive on that later, at some point.
Please do.
In the program, not
Yes, I'm all for entire videos devoted to infighting.
Necessarily right now. But these are the same people that are floating these kinds of narratives. Oh, Trump team's on damage control. There's no damage control. And any Arab nation that would have called and expressed discontent, I would have told to go pound all the sand in the Sahara. No.
Oh, look.
They're having a
Except Trump just signed a deal with those countries for golf courses, and Tucker Carlson just bought property in one of them. So no, it's not. You're not going to tell them to go pound sand. They're your actual friends.
Hypothetical conversation about certain issues, and we have our ambassador in Israel who is correcting the false narratives being promoted by a Qatari propagandist.
That would be Tucker Carlson, I guess.
And we talked, and it's amazing to me, I'm going to be real snotty for a second.
Well, and by second she means until the show is canceled.
Number of drive-bys who take issue with my critique. I want all of the drive-bys with their giant fat backsides to have 1 million seats, because unlike them, I actually know the people that are involved in this, and I have.
Okay, so shut up. You know this whole thing about America and you can have an opinion on stuff? Well, fuck that.
Known them for over a decade. So if anybody is going to be positioned to know.
You've known the Qataris for over a decade? What do you mean?
More about the issue. Between me and the drive-bys, it's me. So.
Damn, that's right. I don't need you. This is basically her version of Trump after the Epstein memo from Pam Bondi telling his own supporters to go fuck off.
Have 1 million seats to all those drive-bys out there, and happy to literally choke you to death with receipts. You just.
Dear God.
Say the word.
Literally. Seems a bit violent.
Your Huckleberry. Now, of course, rhetorically speaking. Now, the whole thing with this is this narrative that's being floated is designed to take some of the heat off Tucker and try to refocus it and put it on Huckabee. And Huckabee, he did.
Sorry, so the White House, the stories about Huckabee having to do damage control is actually to protect Tucker. So Politico is trying to do Tucker a solid.
He was very eloquent, and I thought he dismantled all of this. So now they're trying to.
Yeah, you're alone in that amongst maggots. I'm just saying.
Him with the narrative. They're trying to promote these narratives like, the Trump administration's on damage control because of Huckabee. But it wasn't Huckabee that was called into the White House and told to walk this stuff back. It was Tucker.
See, that's not all right. So her inside thing is apparently that Tucker Carlson was called to the desk of Trump. Everybody else is saying Tucker wanted a meeting and wanted to meet with Trump, and Trump said yes because he sucks up to people he thinks are famous.
So you have two camps within the administration right now.
Yes, we have probably 7 actually
that are leaking. You have the camp that's trying to push this narrative about Trump and Huckabee. he's upset with Huckabee, and Huckabee's, set off an international.
Okay, so it's true. All right, so remember, because you can't leak a lie, right? We know that it's a Sparksism. It stood up the test. It stood the test of time. Yeah, you can't leak a lie. You can lie, which is just a lie. But if you tell something and it's a leak, that means it's true. Okay, so he is pissed. Okay, we've established that. What's the other leak?
Incident. And then there's the camp that's actually saying, no, this is what's going on. Tucker had to go to the White House, and Trump was telling him to knock it off and was telling him to stop bashing Israel and stop talking about stuff he has no concept of. And that includes anything about the Christian faith.
So that would be the lying part. Okay.
So one of the headlines, Trump has had
Jesus.
enough of Tucker Carlson. After months of warnings from inside and outside the White House, Trump is asking for Carlson to cut his Israel bashing. There are two camps right now in the Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is promoting Chrislam.
Oh yeah, that's the Christian Islam matrix against the Jews. That's a real talking point amongst maggots. Just in case you haven't seen this, Chrislam is a conspiracy theory amongst maggots that there are ideological Christians who believe they share more with Islam because in the Islamic faith, Jesus is at least acknowledged as a prophet and that kind of thing, if not the direct son of God, but we all are, that kind of shit, and is honored in Islam at least to some degree, whereas in Judaism, he's obviously a false, Messiah. So the frenemies, the enemy of my enemy is my frenemy.
Right? And the one is promoting Chrislam, and the other is just trying to be a normal God-fearing faction.
As hard as they can. It's very difficult because they're down the hall from Trump farting all the time.
That's what's happening within the Trump administration.
And you can't not take the Lord's name in vain when you walk past him and go, Jesus.
Right now. And they are all jockeying to get in position for when Trump leaves office.
What form do you think that leaving will take?
They're all jockeying for control of the party for when Trump is finished with his second and final term. That's what really a lot of this comes down to. And I do think that I think as part of the
Your lips to God's ears, lady.
Chrislam faction that's taking place, I do honestly think that that's a result of a lot of spending by countries like Qatar. And that's not projection and it's not hyperbole. There are receipts. They spend more than every other nation on earth lobbying. And
They call Tucker Carlson in that group.
In the United States, whether it's academic
or in the other group, I guess that's why that other group calls him Tucker Carlson. Okay.
Whether it's in
I don't know we need to name these factions. You got the Chrislam group and the bullshitters, the Vance, the eugenics tealites.
Hollywood. I mean, they're taking over the CCP. And with the monetary amounts being spent on American colleges and universities and in Hollywood. I mean, if you thought Tencent buying up, gaming and film and all of that was bad, wait until you see the Qatari money that's coming in because it's almost 2-to-1. And this is all, and that's
It's almost because China's running out of money.
It's just the money that's public. That's just the stuff that we know about. Mm-hmm. We're not even getting into the weeds of the purchasing of influencers. So,
yeah, that's been going on for a long time. I mean, investment in Hollywood has been a way that a lot of countries have actually painted their countries as heroes or allies when they absolutely are not. I mean, I'm a big fan of the movie The Martian, but there's a reason why it's China that has a magic rocket that saves the day when it doesn't.
This is what all of this is about. It is a giant...
I thought it was the hokey pokey.
...psyop to see the United States for Chrislam. And you have a faction that's also in part using it to try to set themselves up to take over post-Trump. They don't believe in primaries. They don't even believe in elections. They just...
And they all work in the White House.
Believe in passing the baton and creating and fabricating some sort of makeshift quasi-hereditary, power transfer. That's all.
Holy shit. She's talking about J.D. Vance, for the record.
This is. And it's pretty obvious who's who and who's on what.
I think you should name them, though. I think it would be good. So we're going with Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance and Tucker Carlson and who else? Who else is in this group? I'm fascinated.
Right. Some of this even bleeds over into the Charlie Kirk stuff.
What? Oh, my God.
with Candace.
Wait, you don't think that when Erica Kirk kept saying, God bless you to everyone, that she wasn't being sincere?
Owens. There's tentacles everywhere.
Wait, sorry. Which
Charlie Kirk stuff with Candace Owens. There's tentacles everywhere.
Which direction is she? Is Candace Owens Chris Lam? I think she probably is, right? She would be Chris. Yeah. So it would be Candace Owens, Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, Tucker Carlson against everybody else who's on the Epstein list. I don't know.
So this is a ridiculous.
This is fucking awesome.
False narrative.
Also, yeah, she said hereditary. I think what she means is just kind of like president to vice president pass on doesn't sound. It sounds too normal, and it would be Don Jr. or Eric or even, God help us, Ivanka, if that was the case. But whatever.
That Huckabee did very well.
He's fabulous. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just, chat room, let's jump over and see just how amazingly well Mike Huckabee did. Now, I would like to say for the record, let's see if I can, which one? Yeah, here it is. This is a video from Tucker Carlson's interview with Mike Huckabee that he cut up. And the title of it is fucking magic. These people, I would like to remind you, are allegedly on the same side of the political spectrum. Yes, and also both people will support Donald Trump in whatever the fuck he does, whether it goes with their perceived opinion or not. Just letting you know. And the title of this is Huckabee tells Tucker he's unable to process any other nation's right to exist than Israel is what he means. Okay, so again, we're just I'm enjoying, watching the fight between the anaconda and the alligator from a safe distance, as it were. Both are concerned, and whoever wins is obviously who will be the person we have to deal with. But rather than having to fight both of them, which unified we'd be in big trouble, one will consume the other in this process. And let me give you an example of just how this conversation went.
Who have definite Jewish connections.
Oh, by the way, this gets really fucking awkward. Just letting you know. There's going to be some shit said that you're just going to go, oh, okay. You're going to put it that way.
Family relations, but now they're Christian. Some are not necessarily practicing Jews. They're not. They're more.
Maybe they don't need to practice anymore. Maybe they've already gone pro.
Secular Jews, as you've discussed, but they come back here.
Okay, I'm not against that. I'm just wondering, since you began this conversation by asking me, did I think they had a right to come here?
Yeah, that's
and
what
my question was, on what basis do they have the right?
Yeah.
And you said because God granted it to them.
And I also said because that there should be a land where.
Yes. So for the record, our ambassador from the United States doesn't default to, well, British protectorate, and they'd been driven out by the other Arab nations, and then that British protectorate was turned over to the Israelis that were there because Israel is a place that we followed the name of, and so the people that were, the tribal Palestinians of Israel could go back home after this because, let's be honest, the creation of Israel after World War II was in its own way an act of anti-Semitism. It was like when a bar's closing, like you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And they're like, but I don't have a home to go to. And they're like, okay, yeah, you're right. Well, how about this? We'll create Israel so the Jews can go there and just stay until Jesus comes back and kicks the shit out of all of you, right? So yeah, professional Jews. That's right. I don't. According to him, there's practicing Jews. There's practicing and non-practicing Jews, and the non-practicing Jews are just amateurs, I guess. I'm kidding. It's like secular Jews. And wait till you hear how he describes it.
Jews can live in peace and safety.
And I asked you what a Jew was, and you couldn't answer it. You.
Sorry. Okay. Again. This is. Do you think Tucker Carlson and Mike Huckabee thought they would be sitting across from each other having this conversation during Trump won?
It partly is religious, but it doesn't have to be. It's partly genetic, but it doesn't have to be. And so that you can see why I'm confused.
I think I was very clear that being Jewish is an identification either through blood or through faith that you're Jewish. It may be that you're a blood Jew,
which is a really awkward way of putting it. What are you? I'm a blood Jew. Oh, that sounds terrifying and in its own way like a trope meant to accuse Jews of terrible things. A blood Jew. Jesus Christ.
but you don't necessarily practice Judaism, just like there are people who say they're Christian, but they don't do a thing to demonstrate what Christian
There are a lot of bad
means.
Christians.
Sure. I mean, there's two of them sitting right there in the room. Like, he's like, yeah, like me. He's literally like, okay, guilty as charged. Don't throw stones.
Including me some of the time, a lot of the time.
Most of the time.
But I don't have a right to real estate on the basis of my claim of
You
Christianity.
don't have a right to real estate if you're talking about a specific parcel. But if you're talking about a land, I think what we're talking
That's
about
real
is
estate. That's all I'm,
yeah,
all I'm saying.
Also, by the way, land is fucking carrying a lot of weight here. Like, land in air quotes.
and there was a designation to the family of nations of the world that there would be a Jewish homeland. Let's get to that point, because I think you've taken us on several trails here, and I'm not sure we can follow them all. But is there a reason that the Jewish people that represent, and I want to get back to this because you didn't let me finish a while ago, they represent 0.2% of the world's population. In the entirety of the world, there are about 16 million Jews total. And 8 million
And boy, has everybody been fixated on getting them out of their countries and into another one.
of them live here. The rest live mostly in New York or South Florida and a few other places.
Okay.
Sorry. I got to tell you, okay, there's a tendency in watching a clip like this, and I understand it, and I hear you and see you, chat room, that to get caught up in the actual discussion that's going on between these two fuckheads. Don't. I want you to just watch the dynamic between two assholes effectively having a conversation about whether the Hulk could beat up Superman in a fair fight, and treating it like a meaningful discussion about modern politics.
So this is a small population of people. They have connection to this land, historically, biblically.
Do they?
Yeah. They do.
If Bibi's family, we know they lived in Eastern Europe. There's no evidence they ever lived here. He's not religious.
But
in what sense
ancestrally- but
how do we know
ancestrally-
that? Do you have his family tree? No, we don't.
Do you?
He doesn't. So no one does. That's the point.
But
So
if
how do
there
we
is-
know that he
but
has any
if they
connection
are
to this land at
Jewish-
all?
Yeah, he could just be a Russian who just decided to leave, like a bunch of folks.
And if there has been a practice of Judaism and a connection to the language, the Bible,
Or a not practice, or what time is practice? I think we're late.
and
His ancestors didn't. He doesn't practice Judaism in any rigorous way. His ancestors didn't live here. They
In any rigorous way. Kind of like Tucker and Christianity.
didn't speak the language.
But Tucker will actually sell Christianity all fucking day on his little fucking, from his wooden podium that he has. Where is this? Hold on.
I like wood. Deeper and longer.
And there's no evidence they ever lived here. So on what basis does he have a right
very
to be
much
here?
speaks the language. He has fought for the land. His family has fought for the
You're
land.
dodging a
no, I'm not
very
dodging.
obvious question, which is where does this right come from? And the reason
I've
it's
given
meaningful
you that
is
answer.
because there are a lot of people in the territory that Israel controls today, particularly.
I would like to say for the record, I'm not going to get caught up in this whatever, because I'm just enjoying the fact that these two dipshits are fighting. But the idea that somebody would be like multiple generations removed from their homeland and be able to, their family would go back if they were driven out, especially by violence, seems to be something, it's not a hard idea to grasp. It seems like Huckabee is leaning that way with Netanyahu's family. It's a bad example because he's trying to vilify every Jew that's returned to the land based on the obvious one that everybody hates, which is, and with good reason, Netanyahu. But this is one of those situations where Tucker Carlson pretends to be confused by the topic instead of just admitting to his own bigotry and just calling it. And the idea is that nobody has the right. I don't believe in magic rocks. I don't think anybody has a material, spiritual, godly right to be in any particular area. you can establish sort of a legal right to it and defend that legal right through a constitution, borders, those kind of things or whatever. But the idea is like, this is magically my land is a fucking stupid argument, because either the whole world is holy or it ain't. The idea that there are magic lands and other places just suck and have to live under the people who are from Magic Rocktown is really silly. But that's the argument worth having. That concept is absurd, but he can't have that because this is really him just fighting on behalf of Russia's interest in the area.
The West Bank, who through genetic testing we can know their families have been here for thousands of years. We don't know whether they practiced Judaism, whether they were Samaritans,
or Philistines, because of the name Palestine came from the name Philistine, because there was that's where the whole story about shibboleth comes from, is because certain people couldn't pronounce it the right way because they didn't have a fucking sh in their language, so they would say sibboleth, and that's how you knew they were the bad guys, and they didn't know the right code word and all that kind of shit for this area. Let me tell you, I think the argument about where tribes were during the fucking Bronze Age being germane to current borders is a little silly, and that ship has sailed. And I think it's about time we all become good neighbors. And then if you're going to dismantle the borders that we do have on Earth, it will have to be done through the shared humanity of everyone, and not like, get the fuck out of here, I really have a right to this ground because my ancestors were here first. Ask the Romanians about that. You think the Romans were the first people there?
Don't know that. A lot of them we know have been Christians for 2,000 years. They have...
Well, I mean, obviously, that would be the from the start of Christianity, I think. It didn't exist before that. Technically, every Jew that followed Christ after that would have been a Christian and no longer a Jew. So the big question was Christ the first Christian or the last Jew? I guess that's always it's a good Trivial Pursuit question. Not great on current international borders based on regional hegemony of different groups.
Less of a right to the land than someone whose ancestors, the only thing we know about them is they lived in Latvia or Poland. They're Eastern European. How does that...
Yeah, they didn't magically appear. You don't think Europeans magically appeared there, do you? They all kind of came up this way. I mean, he's getting dangerously close to like everybody's African, which is definitely not something that Tucker Carlson is ever going to cop to.
Work.
They're Jewish.
By what definition?
They're Jewish by their...
But how do we know they have any connection
They're
to
Jewish
the
by
Jews
their
of the,
faith. They're
of the
Jewish
Bible?
by the connection to the language. Jewish by the connection to the Torah.
But how do we know that Bibi, specifically Bibi's ancestors, ever lived here? How do we know that?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
How do we know if the Prime Minister of Israel's ancestors ever lived?
Maybe I could ask you, how do we know they didn't? I mean,
well, it's on the basis of the claim that they did that.
No, he's Jewish, so they've already made the point. This is so stupid. How do you not get caught up in this dipshittery? It's obvious that he said there's Jews, but they're blood Jews, and then there are Jews by choice, but they're basically the same because they believe the same thing and they're part of the same tribe, and they're not that picky. Sammy Davis Jr. would have the right to go back to Israel by the standard that they're holding, because Judaism is Judaism is Judaism. The problem that Tucker has is that he definitely does not want Sammy Davis Jr. In America, to have come to America, much less ever left Africa. So this is Tucker Carlson's push, I think. It's hard to tell because it just seems like it's a pissing contest.
All kinds of things happen. People are displaced.
Yeah, that would be the point, that they were displaced and then generations later they went back, and it's hard to track their lineage because a lot of people... Here's the funny thing, is that there are a lot of people who don't realize that they are Israeli Jews because they left and changed their name. I think it was like Louis C.K.'s family went to fucking Mexico and pretended to be Mexican because, Jews weren't welcome. Sammy Davis Jr. literally had this joke about him getting on a bus and the guy saying, "You got to sit in the back because you're black," and he goes, "You don't understand, I'm Jewish," and the driver goes, "Oh, well, then you're not allowed on the bus at all." Like, that was the running gag at the time. So there are more Jews that don't know they're Jews from that area than there are Jews that think they are but aren't. It's so fucking weird.
money flow? I mean, it's a big question. A lot hangs on this. It's not some theoretical thing like, oh, you know, did my grandparents do this or do that? It's like, no, we have a right to be here because my ancestors were here. Okay, how do we know they were here?
I think he just made the point that Jews can be is a religion and a bloodline, and it's not like the people who are from the bloodline are the only Jews allowed back. This is so fucking weird. Let's be honest. This is just fun to watch. Again, these guys are on the same side, and this interview is incredibly divisive for maggots right now. It's spectacular.
I'm totally unable to process what you're trying to get at. It goes back, do Jewish people have any land on this planet that should be theirs to
I
give
feel
them?
that way about all peoples. I feel that way about Jewish peoples. I feel that way about...
Okay.
Yes, no one is more kumbaya than Tucker Carlson. By the way, this is born out of, and I'm not kidding, this is born out of Tucker Carlson's belief that Middle Eastern migrants and black people need to go back to Africa and the Middle East and fucking stay there. I feel that way about all people. Means I want everybody except white Europeans to stay out of everywhere else, Canada, the United States, etc., and that any native tribes, that's why they've got reservations. They can live on that land and they're perfectly happy to do it. We don't have to share that space with them at all. That's what the root of this is. So like his back and forth argument is sort of a global argument of forcing sort of a back to Africa thing from the United States.
Then you don't mind them having...
Hold on.
Is there any country, let me ask you this bluntly, is there any country that European peoples have a right to exclusively?
I think they have attained their land through conquest. I mean, let's ask ourselves.
Have the Britons attained their land through conquest? No, they've always been there.
The Romans, the Greeks, we've had all...
Well, yeah, the what would effectively be the British, which would be the Germanic and French tribes, came up and drove the Romans out, and they went back down where they came from, and that would be the exchange up there. And then, of course, those people got, my ancestors got sexually assaulted by my other ancestors, and poof, the British Isles.
Let's speak. Let's speak. Well, you could certainly say that here. The Romans controlled this, as you know, and they expelled all the Jews from Jerusalem. Amen. I don't want them to control it.
Hope not.
I'm anti-Roman. Okay, we're on the same page.
Okay.
But
No, you're not. Then why aren't you talking about why Romania should have to change its name and the people that were there or that got wiped out should be able to come back to that land?
Question is very simple. Is there any European peoples that possesses the same right to their land that the Jews, including people whose ancestors...
No. There are no Europeans in the Bible. We don't even exist, dummy. And by the way, to modern evangelical Christians, they're the new Jews. Like, if you trace like the evangelical belief about who the chosen people are, they would lean that to this. This is so fucking stupid, CSL. Like, it drives me crazy. They believe that that the old tribes of Israel are the people who broke the covenant, and the new covenant with Christ is that we're the chosen land, and that America is actually the Israel of the Bible, the land that was going to be created for God to carry out what he wants on the fucking planet. They don't even think it's like, they think evangelical Christians boil it down to the basis of the Hank Kuhnemans and the fucking, Gene the Jesus Machine, all those dipshits over at Flashpoint. If you boil it down, they're just as much like we're the real Jews as the black Hebrew Israelites. It's fucking goofy.
lived in Eastern Europe possess here. The Britons, we know, the British people, the Scandinavian people, the Irish people, their ancestors have been there for thousands of years. That's provable through genetic testing. Do they have a right?
Yeah, but there are also people in the British Isles that their ancestors haven't been there for thousands of years, but they're Irish because their ancestry is fucking French or German, and they came along 500 years ago. And they're just as fucking Irish as everybody else whose French and German relatives came there 1,000 years before. So fucking stupid.
To their land exclusively.
Good God.
Is anyone saying they don't?
Yes, of course. Yes. No one will say they will. And I'm asking you, do they have that right?
And I'm not sure what that question involves, because no one is trying to force them out of their land, of their home.
Oh yeah, Huckabee, you don't understand. You're walking into the rake of the great replacement theory. Immigrants are moving up to Ireland and turning the place brown. And the Irish are a real genetic line, and they're being surreptitiously wiped out by Islamists who are coming up there to, that's where he's going.
But here,
wait, hold on.
you have people.
Why won't you answer that question?
Because I just did.
Oh, so the Irish people have the same right to their land that the
I don't
Jews
know that they
have
have
to
a biblical connection.
Okay,
but I'm a Bible believer.
Okay,
so that is.
But it's also
it's
also a principle.
No, you're not. He's not a fucking Bible believer. You don't think the earth is fucking flat, dummy? Maybe he does. I don't know, he's fairly stupid. But you certainly don't believe that we live under a goddamn firmament. You don't think that the rockets that NASA sends off actually bounce off and fall into the ocean and it's all big fucking plot by the devil worshippers to pretend we all live in space and God created everything else and that there might be life that's not mentioned in the Bible and blah, blah, blah. No, you're not. Good God.
And that is, and you've said it 15 times.
Sometimes people have land because they were able to attain it through war. They were able to obtain it when it was challenged.
I understand that. There's all kinds of consequences. But we can't say that about the Irish.
The world borders change all the time.
Not actually, the borders of the island of England have not changed. Nor.
Well, most islands' borders don't change. It's sort of an internal move. Yeah. I mean, pretty much shoreline tends to be a little more static.
But the governance.
Transnistria becoming, being its own little.
Those are just two examples. So
They're not examples. You're being a silly.
The indigenous people there, do they have a moral right to that as their homeland?
And I think they would probably say, yes, we do, because we have ancient history to it.
What do you think?
I've never thought about whether
now that I'm raising the question, and you've spent a lot of time thinking about the right of the Jewish people.
He's the ambassador to Israel. That's why he was put there. It's because he's a fucking true believer.
So their homeland. Do the Irish have the same right to a homeland?
As long as they can defend it, and as long as they,
as long as they can defend it.
But Tucker, here's the point.
That's true of Israel too.
Wait a second. Wait, hold on.
No.
Now you just flipped category. You're the minister here.
Yeah, and I'm telling you,
as long as they can defend it, and if they can't defend it, they lose the right.
Tell you that.
Well, in theory, kind of, yeah. I mean, Tucker would be okay if the Russians took Ireland.
I think that what is very, very...
It's Iceland. Who has more right to Iceland? The people or the ice? Which it doesn't have because it's actually green.
Special here is that there is a biblical as well as an ethnic and a historical. So you can take any one, but if you add them all together, biblical, historical, and ethnic, you have a very strong case.
What about Celtic scrolls? I know you're a Bible believer, but I would like to say that I have a Celtic sword that's been in my family for a very long time with some etchings on it that tell a little bit of history. It's fairly awesome. I also have a kilt. I'm not wearing it right now. You don't know what I'm wearing. It's none of your goddamn business. Maybe I'm not wearing anything at all. Hi there.
The Jewish people are living in a land that is indigenous to them, that has been their historic homeland for 3,800 years.
You can repeat it
and you can
as
also
often
look
as
in the
you want.
archaeology. The stones cry out.
Okay.
Have you been to the city of David, for example?
I have. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So you.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's awesome. The water slide is fucking awesome.
know then that.
And I love it.
It's a.
And I love it. I love the city of David. Who's David again?
Amazing place. It may be the greatest archaeological discovery in all of history.
Simmer.
Great.
It's great. I like it. It's great.
It's stunning. And they still continue to find things.
They're digging in the wrong place. I am the monarch of the sea. All right.
That date the Jewish people to this land archaeologically for 3,800 years.
We can date the British people to their land much longer, thousands of years longer. Stonehenge is 3,000 years older than any building built by the descendants.
Yeah, but that was the argument is that that was made by the Roman push up into that area, and then usurped by the Celts because they drove them back out because they weren't actually from there. They came up, killed some people who were basically in mud huts. The Romans came up there, started building some shit. they got driven out by the mud hut people who were like there first, effectively the natives of that land, and then they claimed sort of a mixture of the Celtic and Roman stuff that was like left behind. It became over thousands of years part of their natural culture. It was a mix. I don't know, why am I in this? Why am I even? How do I get dragged into this? All right.
Of Abram in this country. And so it's fine. I'm not trying to invalidate anyone's right. I'm just wanting you to affirm that right, but it makes you uncomfortable and you won't. And I don't know why.
It doesn't. He's just trying to make a point that one is biblical and he's doing a biblical version of things. And that's the basis of his belief. Whereas he doesn't believe in the religious aspects of paganism, which, by the way, Tucker Carlson does not either, which would be the religious reason why they have a right to that land. In the same way that some native tribes in the United States, in territories inside the United States, believe they have a right to that land because of their religious beliefs, written or not.
No, because I've never honestly sat down and asked myself, are the lines around the
It's an
United
island, so we know what the
Kingdom-
lines are.
I'm saying, but are those lines, are those rooted in something other than the historical connection? Well, great, then they should have it. But
And
that's
they have
a
a
question.
right to have it. But then you said if they can defend it, and if they can't defend it, they lose the right.
But I didn't say it was exclusive one or the other. I think you're really going off the trail.
I just want to know if these principles apply universally or if they only apply.
Okay, this is the question Tucker needs to know. As a Irish adjacent human being, apparently, are Jews more important than Irish people? That seems to be his stuck part. Okay, point is for the sake of moving on from this horse shit, is that this clip and the back and forth about it was the point of that whole kerfuffle that's happening online and created this thing that Lana Douche was talking about in general chat room. And I know I'm going long on this one, but it like this back and forth, I'm 100% for it because again, these assholes act like they're going to resolve any of it, and they ain't. And we'll end. Can I end on one? Yeah. Okay. So Mike Huckabee was on JTV after this. We obviously know how Tucker cut these things together, and they're like, look at I'm a big fan of JTV's thumbnails. Really well done. They got the kind of TikTok titling with the word strange being outlined. The really nice cartoon area. I think that I've seen that on Canva. It's adorable. And then apparently it points at something that Mike Huckabee was showing him, perhaps a map. We don't know. But Mike Huckabee breaks his silence after Tucker Carlson interview with ugly details. Ooh, ugly details. I hope they get to him early because I don't need to sit through all this.
So by now, many of you will have seen the great Tucker-Huckabee clash. I did a video just earlier on why I think this is actually quite incredible that they're touching on something so central now about whether or not the Jews are God's chosen people and the land of Israel was divinely...
Okay, real quick. All due respect to every Jew on the planet, no group of human beings are God's chosen people. Whether you believe in God or not, as Albert Pike once said, everyone is entitled to their own unique mistake, and that anytime you try to shovel God through the corpus callosum of the human being, it will always come out with whatever their tribal inclinations are. Everybody thinks they're on the right side of whatever their deity is, if indeed they have one, even if they come together and go, hey, we got this, like the Abrahamic traditions, which is basically this we're all living through a big Jerry Springer religious fight between the Abrahamic hereditary lines between Christianity, Judaism, and then later Islam. And these branches away from the Abrahamic faiths, they're all jockeying for effectively resource control over a very limited area. And then, of course, an expansionist view by the Romans, which is the sort of transmutation from Roman society into the Catholic society as a way of like, we could beat everybody up or we could just do this through hearts and minds. And the Catholic Church was sort of born out of that idea. As a way of creating a governance cycle that can spread everywhere and can effectively cross existing borders without having a shot fired is the concept. But they're all and on the way, all three of them effectively usurping or enveloping either pagan, native, Aztec, and Asian religious practices within them. You could argue that Catholicism took polytheism and turned it into the saints. You could all three of them born out of Zoroastrianism, which was born in Iran mainly, and was it was the first monotheistic religion. Even so much that it picked up in the middle of where like Judaism was born. There's a lot of they, and in the Ten Commandments it says you shall have no other gods before me. It doesn't say I am the only God. It says I'm the most important one, and I'm jealous, and you better listen to me. And if you like those other gods, I will not favor you. It doesn't say anywhere at that point that all those gods are fake. It's very curious that way because it was polytheistic at the time, and it was transferring to a monotheistic religion for tribal reasons over time. So no group of people are, quote, God's chosen people. I'm just saying. That part is, and I think that's why Jews have carried an untoward burden because of that statement and idea. On the one hand, it's helped them to elevate in the face of others, of Islamic expansion and Christic forces coming down from the north after the fact. But it's a double-edged sword. Saying you're the chosen people gives you a protected status, especially amongst American modern Christians in a lot of ways. But at the same time, it sounds really fucking egomaniacal, and that it carries the weight of that as well. So between those two things, that's where the sort of division about being pro, and anti-Semitic, I guess, comes from.
Ordained, given to them. That is biblical stuff, and the fact that that's coming into the mainstream discussion is remarkable. But I wanted to touch on something.
This is not a mainstream discussion, I would like to say for the record. Tucker Carlson and Mike Huckabee yammering at each other on Tucker's like little sideline blogosphere that he built with his own fucking Swanson and Fox money is absurd. The idea of Tucker Carlson as indie media or somehow that's now mainstream is bizarre.
The question of what's actually motivating Tucker, because Huckabee did an interview with News Nation on the show Batya, where she asked him straight up, "What do you think has led this shift in Tucker, where he seems to be going full throttle against the Jews, against Israel?" And I want you to show you what Huckabee's response is.
There's an irreconcilable difference between Christians and Jews when it comes to the final equation. And anybody who's focused on the final part of it is going to butt up against that. There is no kumbaya moment between Christians and Jews based on the Bible. One group is a group of heretics, according to the other, and the other group is the old way that refuses to join in with the truth. So in the middle of it, Judeo-Christian works very well in the kind of, if you're using it as a holder for kind of like early tribal legal and spiritual guidance. But there is an end point. There is a point where they collide. And that's, Tucker Carlson, these assholes, they're fixated on this because it's the only time that matters to them.
Because he's,
the end.
Frankly,
because in the middle of it, they're absolutely fucking useless. Tucker Carlson in the middle of life, like where we all live, going to shows and concerts and going to the park with our families and living, he's completely useless in that. So I would argue is Mike Huckabee. So both of them have to fixate on this kind of end times prophecy, working out the final question of who deserves what, because the rest of the question, the actual living part, it's like anti-abortionists in a lot of ways. They're very pro birth. They're not pro-life. Life is the thing that happens between your birth and your natural death, however that occurs. And that's a lot. That's very complicated. And raising the value of human life in that it requires a depth of thought they are incapable of processing. So they just want the baby born and they're pro-baby in that regard.
Bewildered by it all. He thinks there's quite a sharp and swift change. I want to show you what he says, and I want to give you some further thoughts on what I think's going on, and also some thoughts from Brandon Tatum, who I interviewed recently, who's an American Huckabee.
I used to admire him so much. He was very...
Well, it's nice of you to admit you're stupid.
Kind to me as a young reporter. He would have me on his show on Fox News, and I'm still grateful for that. But I have to tell you, in the intervening time, he hosted a man who said that Hitler was not the real villain of World War II on his podcast and agreed with him. He had a very cozy interview with Nick Fuentes. The majority of his episodes have been devoted.
Oh, by the way, pardon me, ma'am, I don't know you, so I can't tell what level of gullible you are. But I will say that Tucker Carlson was always this way. He was always like this. They just targeted it up for Fox News in the early days because there was an acceptable line, and that line has continued to be pushed forward, and as far as bigotry, through the expansion of MAGA. Now it's completely okay to be pro swastika or argue that we've misinterpreted American history X and who the bad guy is.
Trashing Israel for some reason, despite the fact that he says he's on the America First train. He said that he despises Christian Zionists. A question I get asked a lot, which I want to put to you, is what happened to Tucker Carlson?
He got fired. He was apparently fell in love with a trucker he was sexually assaulted by a demon.
I wish I knew. Like you say, I've known him for over 30 years. He worked in Little Rock, Arkansas when he first, was getting his career started.
No, he didn't. He's a fucking Nepo baby. He's never worked a day in his life.
That's when I first knew him. Then I worked with him at Fox for 6.5 years in New York. I don't
worked in air quotes.
Recognize the Tucker Carlson of today with the one that I've known then. And in our interview, I noticed how combative he was and contentious. Now, we had a cordial time. I don't hate Tucker. I like him. I don't have any animosity toward him.
Because you can't afford to, because you both share the same audience, and you're afraid if you go after him, he'll come after you because he has no limit anymore, because he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth and he doesn't give a rat fuck about anybody that doesn't benefit him.
But I'm confused by him.
That's because you're stupid and you're incapable of processing reality.
And when we tried to converse, if I was trying to counter some of the things he was saying that are demonstrably untrue, like that Christians in Israel are treated poorly, I said, Tucker, I'm a Christian. I live in Israel. I've been coming to...
You're also the ambassador. You're not going to run into the run-of-the-mill Hasidic or Orthodox Jew who doesn't like Christians for biblical reasons. So again, both of these guys live in a fucking bubble, and they're like, I don't know, in my bubble, everybody agrees with me.
Israel for 50.
When I have people on my show, they always suck up to me because it's my fucking show.
3 years, since 1973. I've been here over 100 times before I became ambassador, and as ambassador, I've lived here for a year. So if I was a Christian living in Israel, I think I would know if it was really, really uncomfortable.
No, you wouldn't, because you're the ambassador for the United States. If anything, if it was happening, they would have they'd have a bubble formed around you just to protect you from that idea, just so they wouldn't have bad press or lose a necessary ally, right? Also, are we supposed to believe that Mike Huckabee goes fucking shopping at the local market for whatever sundries he needs? Get the fuck out of here.
I go to church every...
Yeah, he's the ambassador, so he lives there in the embassy.
Sunday, I play
embassy ground.
The bass guitar in my church band. I do not find that I'm somehow...
When you're surrounded by Christians and a Christian thing, all right.
Having to sneak around and go to an underground church.
Yeah, that's not the same thing. What he's saying is that there are people who try to, I don't mind. I let them straw man each other. Fuck it.
There are hundreds of churches all over Israel of every denomination and stripe.
Yes, they are effectively tourist centers. They are an endless supply of funds from both the United States and Europe for Christians who want to come back and have Christmas there and see where Jesus walked and all that kind of stuff. And it is a huge aspect of the economy.
There's 34,000 Christians in 1948 when the Jewish state was created. There are now 184,000 Christians.
Damn. It must be Catholic.
That's hardly a sign of shrinkage. But if you look at all of the...
I don't know. Would they have expanded to 500,000 if not for that thing? And again, what's the standard? What's the other growth point of the other people there? I hate this. I hate these people. People are so stupid.
Other countries in the region, Christianity has dramatically declined. And just to cross into the Palestinian Authority that he recently talked about, what a wonderful place it was for Christians of Palestinian thought. And he said that the Christians there...
Palestinians with Christian thought, I think, but whatever.
...treated poorly. I was going to say to him, Tucker, like in Bethlehem, which he mentioned, there are no Jews in Bethlehem, like none. When I started going to Bethlehem, it was 80% Christian, 15% Muslim, and 5% something else. Today, it is over 80% Muslim, very few Christians. And some of those Christians in Bethlehem, because I know them, are actually, I don't know if he would find this disturbing, they are Christian Zionists as well. And that
yeah, he probably would.
might really blow his mind.
Sorry, presumes facts, not in evidence that he actually has a mind. Anyways, so I just wanted to share with you that kind of fight between these guys because it popped off in the last couple of days, and it's on the one hand, it eats a lot of the sort of right-wing media bandwidth, so as to avoid all the Epstein stuff around Trump. Now, one last thing, and then I'll let you go. I know I've gone long. But I missed you, and I didn't get to do a show on Tuesday. So you can always watch the show in clips. And if you do, after it's, we cut these things up, if you do leave a like or a comment, and it really helps or whatever, even after the show tonight, if you feel like it, sections that you've seen because you've been here for the live stream, if you feel like leaving a little comment about something there, it helps us out immensely, hitting the like, sharing the show, all that kind of stuff. One of the big things that happened today, specifically, was that during Hillary Clinton's deposition, Lauren Boebert took a picture of her and she shared it with Bendover Johnson. And this is obviously it was in a violation of the rules. And Hillary Clinton's response was, well, if you're going to post a picture, why don't we just bring the press in here and we'll do the whole thing in front of them? And Comer was like, no way. Right? Same thing tomorrow. All right. And this is what Benny Johnson apparently has a friend in the White House who's telling him things which haven't turned out to be true. Yesterday he said that Trump was going to launch an attack on Iran probably during the State of the Union and maybe announce it. That was a clip from the night of the State of the Union on Tuesday. And then this is war, exclamation point. Cuba kills Americans, takes others hostage, prepare, ... And then he's got himself holding his hair because he poses for these kind of shots, which I got to say is fucking embarrassing. I see a bunch of these folks doing it. Hi. Hold on one second. My girl just stood up. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. How's your face?
Good. Facial and she shot.
Yeah.
She's like, you 3 months, you can't go 3 months.
Oh, yeah, right. You look good, though. Yeah.
And I have my acupuncture. So
Oh, yeah.
I got needles everywhere.
Got poked a bunch. Yeah. Maddie.
She'll gotta go, so we came
Oh,
down.
okay.
Everybody came down.
Should we try and grab Maddie or she?
Maddie?
I know. She always runs away at the last second, so yeah, here you go. I'll show Maddie because we probably need a kitty break. Anyways.
Bucky likes the door.
Oh yeah, Bucky's just sitting by the back door. He's been going at the cats. I mean at the birds. Maddie wanted to say hi, everybody. This is Maddie. Hi, Maddie. You okay? Yeah. She's like, your desk is messy. It's got all kinds of shit all over it.
She's my spirit animal.
Yeah, that's right. She's a summer spirit animal. This is Maddie, everybody. Hi, Maddie.
Oh.
What was that? Is that Bucky? He looks out. Bucky sits by the window at the back door. I think.
What are you doing?
He's going at the birds. Hi.
What's happening?
Yeah, we kind of needed a cat break, I think, after all that horse shit.
Can you come say hi to Daddy too?
Yeah, you want to say hi, Bucky? I know she's not a huge fan of me, Karen.
Wait, say Bucky.
Whoops. Oh, easy.
What's he doing? What's he doing? What's the little man?
There he is. Just do the whole color spectrum tonight. From our lightest cat. Well, no, because Molly's much lighter. Molly is the photo negative of Bucky. Sorry, did I wake you, buddy? He's like, I could just fall asleep here, actually, and be cool. What are you doing? How's my boy? You okay? It's a Bucky. It's a Bucky belly. He just tree panthers. If you hold him, he'll just stretch out. He doesn't care. Look at this. And he lays on the kitchen counter and he just relaxes because if he knows he'll get a treat if he lays on the kitchen counter because the jar of treats is right there. And if you don't watch him, he will roll off onto the floor. He does. I'm not embarrassing you. I'm just telling you, everybody, how adorable you are. You know? You are. You're super sweet. Yep. You're super boy. You're super boy. Oh, and there's Chippers. What about Chippers? Should we see Chippers as well? Hi, buddy. Look at who's here. Look at Chippleton. Hi. Oh my gosh. The big boy. He's such a big boy. Yep. Here comes Chip. We got a whole parade tonight. Chipples. It's okay. We got a fan in here and he's scared of fans. He's panicked about fans. We don't know why. We don't know when it started. There it is. See, he's looking up at the fan. He's like, uh-oh. It's going to turn on and cut my head off. Dude, trust me. You can't reach it. And it would break the fan. Put that cat on a diet. We've tried. He gets fed at a very specific time. Right, buddy? What's he doing? What's he doing? You're okay. Where are you going? Yeah, that's what they said immediately. He's Chipples. What did Chipple doing? What's going on? You're okay, buddy. You're okay, my boy. You're just a boy. You're just a boy. This is a boy. What's the boy doing? What's your boy doing? You're fine. He's like, there's a fan right there. It's gonna get me. I know it. All the fans in the house have it out for me. Oh, he never got hit by a fan. No. He's never like. No. Here, I'm gonna carry you all the way to the door so you're safe. There you go. You're fine. There you go, buddy. We have no idea. We think it originated with the cleaners, that we had cleaning people come, and I think he hid under a bed and then just got scared of vacuum cleaners, and then everything, he couldn't figure out where the noise was coming from, and then he saw the fans moving. He was like, that must be it. Just total cat paranoia. Okay, one last thing, and then I'm gonna get out of here. Back to Cuba. So apparently a group of former Cuban Americans or currently Cuban Americans, or I don't know who, were in a speedboat and went down to do some terrorism in Cuba. Decided to take Trump at his word and go back, right? This did not happen, by the way. This is not a Cuban boat with a giant flag that would topple the boat itself, blowing up an American warship with a Chinook fucking flying off it and burning the flag. And apparently Americans were attacked in this. So this is the theory. Hey, everybody, it's Benny. And a little bit of, here's a bunch of fucking X posts about whatever. The fuck? The fuck is that supposed to mean? Sorry, Marco Rubio is Castro? Is that what he's saying? Jesus. Breaking news.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. President Trump has long said that he hates the Cuban and Castro regime, and this may well be the precursor.
Are there two of them, or
that is needed by the administration in order to topple that regime as well? Maduro.
Great. Well, I'm glad Captain No More Forever Wars is, the peace president is sticking to his word.
Has fallen. It looks like Mexico is popping off, and the Cuba chapter, the Cuba episode, may well be underway as Cuban Coast Guard killed.
Wait, sorry. This is a multi-episode show. We're just going to attack everything in our hemisphere and Iran.
For people, are they Americans? This is a critical.
According to your thumbnail and your title, Cuba kills Americans. That's what you said.
Question on registered.
It doesn't seem like a question. I think there's a
in Florida after it entered their waters and opened fire. So what's going on here?
What is happening? What is this even going? What is this? I'm just reading this. Guys, I had to do breaking news to read an article I haven't even perused yet.
Exactly.
Sorry, do people tune in for breaking news from Benny Johnson to watch him try and figure out what he's reading? Is that the show?
Blame? Who's at fault? Don't trust the Cuban government. I've been to Cuba. It is a failed state. Is every
Why have you been to Cuba?
Bit of a failed state. It's terrible. I mean, the reports out of Cuba, you can go read, we will in just a second, like read the most recent reports out of Cuba. People are literally starving to death. There's,
hey, asshole, we have an oil embargo on them, and and one of the places where they got like medical supplies and food was Venezuela, and we have cut that off on purpose. That's because of us.
No gasoline.
Yeah, why is that? Why would they have no gasoline? Because they used to get it from Venezuela, and we've taken the oil that was meant for Cuba ourselves. Because that seems to be it. Sorry, I have a cat here.
There's no electricity. There's no coal. There's no medicine.
Yeah, there's not a lot of coal mines in the Caribbean in general. It's geographic kind of a thing.
I mean, it is a prison island by every definition.
Well, we have a prison on that island, so sort of.
The absolute total failure of the communist regime there. It could topple by just kicking the door in a little bit, and the whole house will come collapsing down.
Well, apparently not, because these assholes in this boat were trying exactly that, and they got dusted.
The kick. The Cuban Coast Guard killed 4 people in a Florida-registered speedboat after the vessel crossed into the nation's waters and opened fire. Now, this is what the Cuban official said. Cuban embassy said on X that the incident unfolded this morning when a speedboat approached 1 nautical mile northwest of the El Pino line.
Sorry. Serious.
Channel, sorry.
By the way, El Pino is Benny Johnson's nickname when he travels in Cuba.
The embassy said the border guard troops confronted the speedboat, leading the crew.
So you just read the news for people. This is how you get 6 million subscribers. So let me get this right. Republicans, by and large, are so illiterate that the biggest channels they have are people like him and Ben Shapiro who read the news out loud to them.
Florida-registered boat to open fire on the Cuban personnel. The commander of the Cuban vessel was injured in the shootout. 4 people on the Florida speedboat were killed. 6 more were injured. Okay, so this is a boat with 10 people on it?
Well, not anymore. Now I don't think the boat's actually floating anymore. I think they've taken the 6 people because they were able to do a head count. You know, I think it used to have 10 people on it in theory.
Cuban waters?
Yes, that's why they had the right to fire on it, I guess.
Very strange.
Well, yeah, I think they thought so right before that boat opened fire on them.
Cuban officials said the 6 injured in the Florida-registered speedboat were evacuated and have received medical assistance. Their nationalities are not known.
Excuse me, I heard from Benny Johnson's thumbnail that they were Americans. Killed.
He added in a statement, in the face of current challenges, Cuba reaffirms its determination to protect its territorial waters based on the principle, national defense, and fundamental pillar of Cuban state, blah, blah, blah. Investigations by competent authorities clarify what happened. U.S. authorities have not commented on the incident. It's unclear whether the commanding the Florida-registered vessel, who was in command, and were they Americans? Look at this. I guess
where'd they get the idea that it was American? The American flag on it?
Find out.
Maybe we might, yeah. But then we'll find out from the Cubans. So what do how will you know what to believe? Maybe they bought a boat in Miami and brought it down there and just use it for target practice, and they're just telling a story to start an international incident. And you fell for it, Benny. Way to go.
Let's go ahead and see I
think pretty much around this area, this Cayos Falcones, which is where it actually happened. Hence, in the news story, why there's a little dot in a line. It's kind of. I mean, I'm just helping you out because I've actually seen a newspaper before.
This actually happened, right?
Yes, it actually happened. I'm fairly certain. Yeah. It did happen.
And how and why?
Well, because they opened fire on the boat with the American boat that was maybe with Americans or Cubans or somebody else or Shit, it could have been a drug cartel. Who knows? Open fire on, they were going to get pulled over by their National Guard, and they opened fire, and then they were shot back. It's probably more than likely a narco trafficking situation.
Florida Congressman Carlos Jimenez, who was born in Cuba, issued a fiery statement in response to the shooting, saying that he was calling for an immediate investigation and calling it a massacre. I'm calling on the immediate investigation a massacre. Now, some people are saying this may well be a false flag and that they are trying to create war with Cuba.
Who? The dead people in the boat? Or the 6 that survived? Trump is starting a false flag, or the Cubans are creating a false flag. I think that would be the argument if it was a narco-terrorist situation and, that was their response to it.
4 people on the boat killed after entering Cuban waters. 6 are alive. So what nation do they belong to? If
Davy Jones locker stand.
They're all 10 Americans. It shouldn't be hard to extract or to find out that 10 Americans have gone missing or are dead.
You're kidding, right? There's 340 million people in this country, and we're supposed to know which 10 people might have been on a boat at any given time? What are they going to wait till Monday, see if they show up for work? Maybe one of them was Nancy Guthrie.
This is the statement from the U.S. Embassy, the Cuban Embassy in the United States, correction. Florida registered speedboat in Cuban waters. Cuban Coast Guard approaches it and it opens fire.
Yeah, it sounds like a drug run.
We don't know that, by the way.
Any more than we know if it actually happened.
So it looks like right here. This
yes.
Is, I guess this is relatively
close.
close.
The penis canal. Yep, that's where it went.
To Cuba, but then.
Yes, that would be Cuba. Yeah, that's what that is. That's a picture of Cuba. I'm just saying. It's not the real one. I want you to know this is a graphic.
Here is like Florida, right? It's like only.
Yes, Florida's right above it. Yeah. Miami's fairly close. It's hence the reason why Cuban refugees come to the United States instead of sailing the other direction through the Gulf of America.
90 miles. So what happened here?
So far, what we know is the boat had 4 people are dead, 6 people are wounded. The captain of one of the Coast Guard boats for Cuba was injured in the process. That's what we know.
Boat involved.
But if you believe it.
This morning's shooting off the coast of Cuba is registered to a 65-year-old Cuban-born man, but presumably a naturalized American citizen. Per source provided the registration, he lives in Miami.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he's that at all. It might be registered to him because you could purchase an American boat, if you're Cuban.
The vessel was docked at a marina in the Florida Keys. The owner reported it stolen after being notified, and is considered not a suspect at the time. So what is this? Dictatorship in Cuba has attacked a boat.
Sorry, does somebody else line up these fucking X posts for him so he can just read them? Like, I was always under the impression, and maybe I'm just being naive because of how, like, CSL and I set this thing up. Like, he looks for clips I haven't seen on purpose. And so I don't pre-watch the clips that we're talking about on the show because I use, wit and intellect to deal with them. I'm not trying to shoot, like, ducks in a barrel and, prove how smart I am by criticizing videos I've already watched. I can do it live. Unlike Bill O'Reilly. And right? Yes, you are correct, sir. That's exactly right. But I'm beginning to think like someone else provides him with all these fucking clips and he kind of peruses them maybe. And then maybe that's why he sounds so ignorant because he legit is.
From Florida, they've murdered those on board. So this is, again, Congressman calling, demanding action. The Attorney General of the state of Florida, James Uthmeyer, has directed a statewide prosecution to work with federal, state, and law enforcement, begin an investigation. The Cuban government cannot be trusted, and we will do everything to hold these communists accountable.
For what? Defending their territorial waters? I mean, real quick, if that boat was in their territorial waters, the only question on whether they fired on it, I guess you could ask for the return of the 6 people and then ask them what the fuck they were doing there. And if one of them says, yeah, we were going to take the place over because we had guns and shit like that and bombs and we failed.
So yeah, who's exactly telling the truth here?
You are, Benny. I've never seen more honest confusion in my life.
Byron Donalds, I believe there should be a full investigation. The bottom line is the communist Cuban regime must go. Again, it's very strange. I mean, again, the nationality of the people on board would be critical. You could see here on this map exactly how close Florida, exactly how close the countries are together.
Yeah, we're familiar with the geography, dipshit.
They're 90 miles apart.
Yeah. This isn't news. Is this the breaking news? Is this just Benny learns standard geography?
And so,
hold on. Whoops.
Oh, not hard. I've flown from Miami to Havana.
Have you now? Just sex tourism, or?
And it is like a 15-minute flight. So here we go.
How often have you been to Cuba? Oh, no, sorry. That makes sense. Because if you were taking Russian money, one of the places that you could go safely to get paid is to fly to Cuba and pick up your check, right? Or a bag full of money. And if you're flying private and the administration's letting you because you're doing them a solid, this is all starting to come together. Maybe he's interested in this because he's worried about his next flight to pick up his rubles. Whoops, sorry.
Vice President J.D. Vance on the incident between a Cuban missile vessel carrying people.
Missile vessel? These people were on a Cuban missile?
Rubio briefed me 15 minutes ago on it, says Vance. We don't know
Yeah, we watched that. There's video of that. It's
a lot of the details.
Awesome. And he's the vice president, so who can you believe?
Hopefully this is not as bad as we fear it could be, because we just don't know.
So why would you... So that it's just like, is he catastrophizing, or is he trying to stop himself from pearl clutching?
So this morning, we were made aware by Cuban authorities of an incident off the coast of Cuba. We immediately began to look into it. As it stands now, the Department of Homeland Security, the Coast Guard, others are involved. The majority of the information we still possess is what Cuban authorities are providing, both the public and the U.S. government. We have our embassy on the ground in Havana working this as we speak, asking for access to the people that were on those vessels, if they were American citizens or permanent residents, according to the Cuban regime.
They were Floridians. Enough said.
The boat was registered in Florida. We're tracking that down. We will know shortly.
We already watched the part where it was registered and it was reported stolen.
We will know quickly.
Which, again, is that true? I don't know what to believe. Tell me, Benny. Tell me.
Many more facts about this incident than we know right.
This is a broken, busted clip. I think it was they were trying to go be live. This C-SPAN clip. But anyway, you get the point.
Yeah, C-SPAN isn't really good at stuff. It's a government. You can't trust anything they put out. You know what I mean?
People are already making memes that Marco Rubio will soon be the dictator of Cuba.
Oh, I see. So that's what your thing meant. All right. Because he's going to, by the way, isn't he already in charge of Venezuela right now?
This is about to happen. What also could this be? It could be drug smuggling. I mean, these people could be criminals, right? This could be human smuggling. They could be carrying people from Cuba. They could be bringing...
Sorry, they're carrying people from Cuba, and the Cubans decided to shoot everyone on the boat who was being taken from Cuba.
People out of Cuba. You're not allowed to flee Cuba in this manner. So they could be human smuggling, drug smuggling. There's plenty of that
in or out
goes on. It could be illicit narcotics behavior. I mean, if you shut down,
they could be trafficking in dubbed pirated VHS tapes. That's my vote.
What's going on in Venezuela?
So everybody just got a bunch of copies of Like Water for Chocolate.
Or if you squeeze the cartels in Mexico, then maybe this is an avenue that they migrate to.
So the Mexican cartels stole a boat in Miami to take drugs to Cuba Why wouldn't they just sell it in Miami? I'm just going out on a limb here. I think there's more money to be had selling drugs in Miami than in Cuba, since they have no money for anything right now.
I'm not sure.
Well, that's the one thing we're sure of.
But I do know that this has the potential to spiral out of control if these are American citizens and they were shot dead. There's going to be a lot of questions. And the administration, just like they are looking for a reason to topple the cartels of Mexico and Maduro, are absolutely looking for a reason to topple Cuba.
Okay, so I guess the conclusion we draw from Benny Johnson is that he's fairly certain in his utter dipshittery that this is a false flag created by Trump to create a premise under which they could declare war on Cuba. We're shooting a boat full of people in Cuban territorial waters. So what's the next step? Does Trump claim we own the territorial waters around Cuba? I love this. I'm a big fan. and understand that Benny Johnson, it gets coordinated messages from the White House. Maybe they actually told him, like, look, we need you to, this didn't go down the way we thought it was going to go down. So could you just go on there and act confused? You're really good at that. No, I can't act. How about this? Just give me a bunch of weird stuff to read and I'll just be amazed. Don't tell me anything. Maybe that's his White House handlers. Go give him a bunch of X posts to read through and he'll just read it like a dipshit.
And so we'll see.
Gee, thanks, man. 6 million subscribers on that channel. 6 million subscribers. Now, how many views? 374,000 views of that video. The video we just watched. 370. Now, look, a lot of them are bots, but let's say 100K of them are real. And that's the state of information on the right now. Largely because people like Benny are their entire gig right now is create thumbnails that will draw attention away from the Epstein Files. That's it. You don't have to actually, the video doesn't have to pay off. There's you can feed your audience. There's an assumption that it will at some point, but it won't. I'm sorry that was so boring. But I think the big takeaway is that this is yet another right-wing channel that has 6 million subscribers, and this is what it does for a living. This is the standard of independent media on the right now. God damn. That said, I've kept you guys way over, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. I will see you guys tomorrow, Friday Eye in the morning. A lot of stuff to cover tomorrow. Holy shit. We didn't get to talk to Rob last week, and I got a bunch of stuff, and including, the Doomers are back, and at some point it's going to be, I might have to make a thumbnail CSL about like the Doomers, AI Doomers versus the rise of the robots, because that's where they seem to be hitting in the middle. And maybe I'll have my OpenClaw make it. I'm kidding. I would not allow my OpenClaw to make visuals. It would just be a mistake. I'm just telling you. Not that it can really do anything yet. I'm still a little too reserved to give it access to everything like some of these dipshits. But maybe someday soon. Who can say? But in the meantime, this goes out to Bend Over and everybody over there at the artist formerly known as Tenet Media. I did get my mail, and I'm going to do a special opening of the stuff this weekend, Jennifer, probably on Sunday. And I haven't been able to open some of it because you guys are so sweet in what you wrote while my dad was passing that it's heartbreaking to even read it. Just saying. Thank you. True story.
Promises made, they rot in the air. A handshake, a lie, a blank, cold stare. Puppets dance, the strings are tight. Shadows true.